has advantages that can kind of dissuade that, but not necessarily a guaranteed thing. Now, T1 going to open up with the Ezreal ban. I definitely think aiming has shown really good play on it, and it hasn't felt like as much as a Guma pick, but he's still been pretty solid on it, so it's a bit of a surprise they opt to ban that on blue side, and it will give a lot more space to D+. They're banning the Ashe, they're banning the Azir, presumably the Rumble will be their third ban. Now, will T1 opt? We've seen a lot of teams ban Lee Sin here. I don't think it's warranted. I think LeBlanc is a much bigger pick, and they do take that off the card, so that LeBlanc Vi makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Ezreal, you know, we don't want to see them given over to aiming, but Rumble also coming through, so I don't think any surprise in those first 3 bans. Do T1 prioritize the Sejuani in this situation? Is the question, really. Looks like the Corki is something they're going to go towards, you know. A lot of AD carry picks in the mid lane, but I don't think they've really been Showmaker's forte. And it seems like they're really happy getting Faker on a solid pick here.
Yeah, I think that's a solid strategy for T1. Also, Owner, he does have a pretty wide champion pool. I think just forcing him into Sejuani every game doesn't feel great either. So just picking up Corki, making sure Faker's going to be relatively safe in the mid lane is good. But the Lee Sin was left up, and does he just slam it here in game 1 is a big question. Yeah,
so Sejuani is the meta pick, but I feel like D+ have looked way better when Lucid's been on these bruises. I don't think this Sejuani's been as strong, but it's such a good pairing with the Renekton. That's the difficulty in these situations. They opt to go for the Talia. Could be for Showmaker, could also still be for Lucid, although we haven't really seen him play that. So expectation is just going mid. Now T1, I don't think you pick Lee Sin into Talia. I'm just going to say that off the bat. One thing to take into account is we do have a counter pick for Zeus into that Renekton, so it'll be interesting to see what he can pull off here. And it looks like he might just be going towards that Kennen. Very much Zeus has been the player who will pick these ranged champions into Renekton and just bully them, just make them have a horrible time. Now T1, I feel like they could pick up an AD carry here if they're concerned about being banned. I don't think there's a major concern. They might just be jungle. They have plenty of AP in their composition with the Kennen already, so they could just go Sejuani if they're trying to be safe, trying to be a bit standard. See what Owner wants to bring out.
Yeah. Could also look for a Owner, you know, an Owner pick. Poppy is one of those, actually, so they're just going to go for the Poppy, opting to not go for Sejuani here.
So this works really well for the playstyle of T1, because as we said, they love having strong side lanes, they love leaning towards it. Poppy's so devastating in those early dives in side lanes, so if Renekton gets low in the Kennen matchup, slam him into the wall, finish him off, easy kill. And definitely if the Lee Sin was going to come in now for D+, we'd have a bad time in the Poppy, so it looks like D+ going to go for the Maokai. A lot of team fighting power. Not really the combo we were hoping for from Lucid and Showmaker. These two picks work well together, the point-and-click CC into the knockback. But again, I don't think it's going to be a major challenge for T1 in the early game, even though in the 5v5 it's going to have a lot of strength. And now, go in the next rotation, I think Kai'Sa should be a ban from T1. Honestly, if they just ban Kai'Sa Zeri, I wouldn't be too surprised.
Yeah.
D+ trying to trim down the strong laners that T1 can go through.
Any Draven bans?
Potentially. I think a big advantage, though, is D+ being on red side. They get counter pick support, which is so important in a matchup like this.
It's huge, and we know that Kellen also can play some champs to a really big degree. Now, Senna's going to be the target here, actually, and has been something that Guma has gone back to many a time, so I don't even mind that. Not expecting a blind Draven.
I was going to say, actually, Kalista left open, and aiming's been good on it, but I think now you're just probably going to pick up the Kai'Sa. They banned the Zeri Kalista. I think you just take the The one thing with the Kai'Sa, though, is you almost always pair her with a melee support, an engager. That does mean that T1 might be able to pick something that does well into that, you know, potentially like Draven Renata, and you don't really want to take a range support with the Kai'Sa, so we'll see, but I think it's his best pick. I think it makes sense, and they opt instead to go for the MF, so not trying to pick up a pick that is great for aiming, but instead going for some team fight and laning power. I think in particular the laning phase of the MF is strong. Very concerned about opting into the Kai'Sa and being punished by T1.
So let's see. Jhin, another thing that Guma has gone back to many a time. It's great for setting up with the Kennen. We see the Draven hovered there, but as you mentioned, the MF is pretty strong in that lane. I was thinking also about Leona, just, you know, curiously left available. I feel like just, you know, they want to target the AD carry, so Leona gets left through. And they will pick that first. It's great into MF as well, because obviously she has to stand still to ult to just drop a Solar Flare. and you can counter that.
I think a lot of supports, even the engaged ones, like Alistair can struggle to reach MF when she ults. Leona always has that answer. Yes, MF's going to have cleanse, but your ult still interrupted. The job is done. Let's just see what is picked up here by Guma. He was hovering the Draven and the Jhin before. Looks like it will just be the Jhin. When, as you said, the Kennen sort of opens up on a team, you have that follow-up. We've seen like Viper have fantastic games on it. And now the pick for Kellen. Alistair has kind of been his favorite he's gone to into Leona. Could also pick the Braum, though. Very popular into Leona. And the shield has a lot of value into the Jhin. Even if it only blocks one shot, it can drastically reduce the damage output from him. So they will lock that in. So I think overall, not a hugely advantageous bot lane matchup for T1. I think D+ did a decent job mitigating that. I am concerned about this Renekton, though. Zeus playing Kennen into Renekton with the Poppy to assist could be problematic. And ultimately, the mid-jungle from D+ doesn't inspire huge hope from me in how they've been playing so far. I think ultimately the tools are there for D+, but you know, it's just about that top side I'm a little bit concerned with.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we didn't talk about leading into the draft very much, but Zeus, you know, if you do give him counterpick, he will be able to utilize that to a big degree. I thought maybe he would just go back to his very favorite Gnar, but instead he goes for that Kennen that has been played a lot more recently, especially into the Renekton, and that is going to give him a nice little advantage up there. I'm sure a lot of people wanted to see some crazy duo from the side of Showmaker and Lucid, but instead we just get Talia Maokai. Feels like they're kind of just almost not really playing their game, but almost trying to neutralize what T1 are doing and trying to just draft a team fight comp.
Yeah, it does feel that way, which, you know, I don't think necessarily is a bad strategy. Clearly, they planned a lot coming into this. I think one thing with the bot lane matchup feeling very neutral, it does mean you can focus attention top lane. If you find a counter gank when Ona goes in, if the timing is right for Lucid or Showmaker with that Weaver's Wall, maybe you can stop T1 in their tracks.
Well, this is a very interesting draft moving into the first game. Let's see how it all pans out as we hop into the Rift for game number 1.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Here we go, game number 1 of this first series of the night. T1 up against T+ Kia as we enter week 7. And both of these teams desperate for these extra wins. So this matchup in particular, very important.
Absolutely. So exhaust picked up by Kellen into the Kennen, as we always love to see. Both supports going top lane and getting a ward down, which in these range versus melee matchups actually makes a pretty big difference, having that extra vision. I've seen that happen a few times. But yeah, I think ultimately what Ona is able to do, if he's able to make things happen towards the top side in the early game, it's potentially going to be complete devastation for Kingen. So we'll have to look to see how that pans out. Also, the mid lane matchup, you know, we saw a lot of Talia Corki when it was the old Corki, and it was really favorable for Talia, particularly at MSI. But the new matchup's very different. I still think Talia does completely fine in it, especially considering how well Corki does into a lot of matchups, but he can just kind of press E and walk at you. That's the Corki special nowadays.
Yeah, and he'll throw some auto attacks in there, and Talia can try to, you know, throw some rocks, but generally the Corki will enjoy it. We do see the E taken here first. Zeus trying to utilize that fantastic spacing that he always seems to have in the bag in these top lane matchups, as he's already played 4 games of Kennen, 3-1 on the pick. So certainly one of the players here in the LCK that is not scared to go to this pick.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, we've seen such a range of top laners from Zeus when he's trying to find these advantageous matchups. And I feel like the Kennen, the payoff is pretty big. If you do win lane on that pick, then when you get to team fights, the damage can just be absolutely absurd. We've seen this more sort of sustained damage bruiserish build from the Kennen, you know, Leandries being an early pickup, and the value here is going to be pretty big. A lot of high health targets that you're going to be able to burn through.
Yeah, it does feel very nice there. I do wonder, you know, already it looks like Kingen's doing a pretty good job of even pushing in the wave, hitting level 2 first. You know, Kennen in his own right can obviously put on a lot of pressure, but we might have a clash up in the top side as both junglers are clearing to the top lane and are just letting the bottom lane kind of do their thing as you expected, Ox.
Yeah, and we do see Goom and Kerry have a bit of an advantage in terms of the push, but it's not really going to amount to too much aiming. Very easy to CS on MF under the tower. You know, there's a lot of champions. I think Zeri's another good example with her right click as well as a Q. But MF with the double tap, it's very hard to miss CS, so you don't gain too much by pushing under. And yeah, early levels, the Renekton can kind of just tank up the autos from the cannon and just Q the wave. But it's kind of this point where it starts to become a little bit more threatening. But the wave state, really good for Kingin. Throws them under this tower, but this scrying plant gets hit, the ward is cleared, and they have full information on Lucid, so Zeus isn't really vulnerable right now.
Yeah, you know, if that plant wasn't there, may have had a little bit more action with less vision on the map, just saying. Owner is going to go ahead and take this Scuttle Crab on the top side. You see Lucid, you know, he's spotted, he goes for a quicker back, and is going to look to actually head downwards on the map. As Showmaker steps forward, now he's just going to get flashed and comboed, and Showmaker gets dunked on by Owner here, first blood.
Yeah, really nice play there, and Faker baited out the Unraveled Earth from Showmaker. That was the important thing. You could see Owner was hesitating a bit. The Unraveled Earth gets burned, he sees he goes for it. Showmaker, I'm going to be real, he should have flashed that.
Yeah.
Absolute mistake not to flash it. Does end up going down. The one silver lining is at least a future gank is going to be, you know, not super easy to pull off with that flash available, but definitely a big advantage for Owner and Faker there in the mid-jungle 2v2, which is typically where we've seen D+ excel.
Yeah, and this is what kind of worries me for the side of DK, as now Lucid very far behind on his clear and hasn't been able to affect the mid lane yet. And Showmaker, you know, has to go up against a Corki that already has the Merc Treads now, and it's not going to be a fun time for him already behind. As we'll take a look from his point of view. Flash?
이게 벽공이 닿네.
That hit against the wall actually landed. So
Yeah.
he didn't think he was going to be stunned.
Yeah, he thought the angle was a little bit better, so didn't want to flash. I feel like, you know, from our perspective, it's easy to go, oh, well, yeah, of course it's going to connect, but when you're in the moment, like, you think maybe like a couple more units and it wouldn't have connected. Just made a judgment call, ended up backfiring, and you could tell he was frustrated about it. But as you said, big advantage for Faker. Merc Treads already, not only is the MR nice, but also hitting a seismic shove, hitting any skill shots becomes a lot harder when tier 2 boots already completed, especially with fleet footwork in the bag as well. Faker can kind of just navigate away from Showmaker's skill shots. And I think when we talk about the impact on the side lanes, Showmaker having a good lane on Talia with the Weaver's Wall would have been a great win con for D+ to be able to apply pressure elsewhere. That's not really going to be a thing right now when Faker is kind of zoning him out.
Yeah, I mean, it's pushing into Faker, and he's just keeping it right there. And Kerry is already up here, as is Kellen, as we might have a little bit of a skirmish for these grubs. Lucid just kind of watching for now. And actually, the push from the top lane may favor DK here, so Kingin is going to come down as level 6 Renekton and try to bully and stake their claim over these grubs for now.
And honestly, Kingin's been having a great lane. He's up against Sayers. He's doing really well in this matchup so far, and the Renekton's so strong in these grub fights.
So they should know he's in the pit, but apparently they don't, as now Faker's got a flash, and a double seismic shove comes in, but they get the knockaway on Kingin, and he is just out of the fight. So Kellen also in a lot of trouble as Ace comes on down, and he is going to hop over to the Renekton and might just barely be able to survive here. Kingin, though, is going to get knocked into the wall, and now there's a slicing maelstrom. Kingin doesn't have flash anymore. T1 convert in a huge way on these grubs.
And you know, we talk about the impact of a Renekton in those early grub fights, but Owner just solo carrying that. It's so powerful just to remove one person from the fight. In the ensuing play, gets so much value, and that stun at the end to clean up the kills. A big edge now for T1, and Owner 2-0-1. He's so strong with his Poppy. I think they should have had a read that he was there. They kind of overstepped, but Owner, this ult is just such a game changer. You know, Faker was just dead pretty much immediately if it wasn't for that. We see the Maokai and the Braum get chased down, and the fact that he also gets the stun at the end, just such a clutch play.
Yeah. Even Gumo is coming up, by the way. I think he threw in a deadly flourish. Here's the stun, as it looks like he's over the wall, but not quite.
Yeah,
He's stunned mid-dash.
I bet Kingin had some choice words to say about that one.
I mean, you gotta completely get over the wall. Otherwise, Well, that's going to happen.
His tail was stuck in the wall, and it got
you know,
pinned to it, you know.
Renekton's a relatively long champion. You saw aiming, he ulted the bot wave. He was trying to push in, but Guma's able to get down there as well. Doesn't miss anything. And right now, on the top side of the map, especially in the jungle, we see a huge lead for Owner. And T1 as a team, more than 1,000 gold ahead already.
Yeah, and considering the top matchup was going so well for Kingen, he ends up going down, ends up losing the flash as well. And Zeus pretty strong now, able to get a gold lead in that matchup. So entire top side doing good for T1, and that's kind of where we had the concern for D+ in this draft, was that top side. But I think it's a little bit even more frustrating because Kingen was doing so well in lane, and now they end up losing that top side fight. I think that probably feels the worst thing overall.
Yeah, I mean, Kingen seems like he's really on a mission up there to not miss many CS and just continuing to try to push in and not really interact with the cannon. And he's doing a great job, so hopefully he can stay on that horse and not really feel too tilted by the way that team fight did play out. Feels like Showmaker, you know, 13 CS behind is not in a great spot just yet, but at least he has stabilized. Doesn't have his flash yet after that team fight. As Lucid is here hanging around, maybe looking to make a move at that dragon. As, okay, just gonna dash over the rocks, and now Lucid's gonna flash on in. Faker getting very low, trying to get Showmaker low and set up the kill here for Owner, which Owner will be able to lock that one down. And now these two junglers that don't do a lot of damage.
Oh, D+ is bot lane.
Yeah, the root comes in, and now D+'s bot lane gets there on time. Aiming gonna pick up double buff.
That's why
and
he's
a kill.
folding. Picks up a shutdown on Owner. And ultimately, Faker ends up going for what would win the trade, but is losing in the fight. He dashes through the Unraveled Earth to trade onto Showmaker, doesn't expect Lucid, dies for it, and then Owner commits heavily to kill this Talia, but it's so hard to get away from a Maokai. The call comes in, the bot lane's moving. Once that Winter Spike connects, he knows he's dead, and it's a big win for D+, you know. Felt like they were losing out around the mid-jungle, and they get a bounce back on the back of that play.
Yeah, and there was a push that came down in the bot lane, but you'll notice that there's no plates that went over to T1. So I was wondering, you know, what was traded back? What did T1 get on the bottom side of the map? Looks like not much, except maybe denying one wave.
Yeah, maybe Guma had to reload or something.
Yeah.
You know, he's fumbling, he's dropping the bullets all over the place.
It's just a mess down here, honestly. Like, someone calling the cleanup crew.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen too much advantages gained for the bot lane on the back of just, you know, one side moving, the other side getting a push. I mean, Aiming got that plate earlier, but that's about it. But now Bloodthirster picked up for Aiming, and I feel like this is why the MF has been so strong. The first two items give so much AD, the Bloodthirster makes you so hard really to challenge and push out. And this is pretty huge from Kingen, forcing Zeus' ult in the 1v1. I mean, it didn't feel like T1 wanted to contest the Dragon anyway, but without the Cannonal, no shot, they're going to go for it.
Yeah, and the early Ocean is really going to help out in that matchup, especially for the Renekton, who is taking a lot of harass, who does have a relatively large health bar eventually here, and should be helping out all the lanes as well. As we do have red buff here for Aiming, he really wants to land that one shot. Thankfully, that Blast Cone is there to deny us from any other action in this one, especially with the grubs coming up. Does look like DK Lucid there does want to start on this one.
Yeah, and to be honest, with Zeus' ult still down, I'm not sure there's too much you can do in this situation. You can see Kerry is nowhere near. It looks like he's potentially setting up a play onto Showmaker. T1 are just opting out. Considering the first big fight we saw in this game was so favored towards T1, D+ are doing a good job of navigating back into the game. Now the trade-off is going to lose some plates here. Kerry has moved down. He was spotted on a ward, so Showmaker was ready to back away, but this is the trade-off. You know, grubs for D+, a couple of plates for T1.
And Carry is sticking around, but we do have Owner down here on the bottom side of the map as well. Carry not looking to get involved in that battle,
yeah,
but Showmaker's not able to approach the turret.
I'm not sure Leona and a Poppy have the damage to kill a Braum, but they will force Kellen away and secure even more of a lead here for Fake. You can see in this matchup in the mid lane, significant advantage over the Faker here.
Yeah, and there's really not much that Showmaker can do,
oh man,
at least on the bottom side. Yeah, don't know what happened.
Aiming ulted, so I guess he got caught in a bit of damage from that.
Yeah, Guma still has Cleanse and Flash, so I guess maybe he just walked it off. And he'll go for a back now.
Oh, and Aiming, stepping up and using the E just to interrupt him, I think he did there, so definitely, it's so hard. We talk a lot about these mid laners who cause a lot of issues when you're trying to contest mid priority. Ezreal, you know, the old Lucianami was a big one. MF as well. Like, Guma cannot walk up to aiming because he can get slowed and he just autos you and out heals all your damage. Obviously, MF is a bit easier with no mobility. Like, there's no escape, no dash to evade engages. But the movement speed from Struck combined with Cleanse Flash, I don't think there's much T1 can do to get on top of aiming unless he makes a big misplay. So it's just Guma weathering the storm right now. You can see that mid tower down to 2 plates only on T1 side. And they can't really do much in return because Kellen can just block the Jhin autos with his shield.
Yeah. And, you know, even a couple of plates in top lane for a Renekton into Kennen. And part of that is because Lucid was shadowing up there, you know, allowing to pressure King into pressure, but also Kingan's continuing to just win that matchup.
Yep.
In the top side. It's kind of insane.
We've seen so many, I mean, we saw in the pre-show, it was like 2 and 6 Renekton was last week. We've seen so many Renektons just get absolutely bodied in the 1v1. And Kingan's been having a fantastic game so far, matching up to Zeus in particular on this Kennen.
Waiting for the E here from Zeus. There it is.
Dead.
Uh-oh, he does have Flash, but I don't know if he gets away from this one. Not without his E and a Maokai ultimate coming in. I think Zeus is just going to be rooted and taken out as Kingan sets it up once again.
Beautiful patience, beautiful setup, and now Herald is for sure going to be D+'s. They're even TPing Showmaker in to defend mid, and with how low that mid tower is, it's just going to go down with the Herald easy as anything.
Yeah, I mean, they might just be able to push in as a squad here. Owner's going to go for the helicopter and try to push them away, but a stun into the wall now, and Kellen, but they have to eat the MF ult. There's now another stun comes in from Keria, and down will go Kellen. Ton of damage was done. Meanwhile, Faker just taking a bottom turret, is going to get the first turret of the game, so that's a nice win for them. But Rift Herald and a turret on the top side for DK.
Yeah, so T1 managed to defend for now, but not for much longer.
Owner, yeah, he's going to flash away and barely get away from that one. Now Guma's going to have to abandon ship and just give up another turret to D+ Kia.
Yeah, even with that kill onto Kellen, still a humongous advantage for D+. They don't even need the Herald to get the tier 1 mid. They get the tier 1 top, and Faker, who's pushing the tier 2, I think he's just dead.
We do have Owner coming over with his ult. Also, the angle of that wasn't great. Here comes the ult. Lucid's gone as Faker, he is going to actually try to fight this one. And with a couple of teammates, they are going to fight. As meanwhile, Zeus's TP doesn't get too much value, but there is a Drake coming up. As it's getting pretty hectic here on the Rift.
Yeah, really nice ult there from Owner just to disengage and keep Faker safe. Managed to get him out, managed to extract him, but he doesn't get that tier 2 regardless. And here, just great patience from Kingan, waits for the E, as you said, and as soon as that's down, Zeus doesn't even burn the flash. He knows there's no way he escapes from the situation.
Yep, just accepts his fate. This was the mid-fight where Kellen thinks, okay, I'm Braum, stand behind me, but kind of just dies.
Yeah, steps up too far forwards, and Carrier's ult immediately to follow is beautiful.
Okay, trying to go for a dive here on a Kingan. There are so many members on the top side of the map. This Kingan barely going to go down. They almost left him alive there as Lucid, if he was a couple of seconds earlier, maybe he saves him.
Tries to flash to block the damage from the Jhin, but doesn't end up achieving anything. This is kind of what we're talking about with the Poppy dive threat on the Renekton. But unfortunately for T1, well, Kingan has been laning so well, never really saw a possibility for that before now. But they find a good play. They find this angle. They know they have to make it fast. They're converging, but they expect a return play. So it's basically throw down your CC and get out. Carrier throws a CC, starts running. Same with Owner. And they narrowly get out of tower range before Lucid's ult arrives there. So pretty good play from them. They do have the gold lead now. That dragon is up.
Yeah, Infernal Drake here, so make sure you got your, your focus in on the Drake Ox.
Seems like they're not actually playing for the Drake though, T1. You can see Faker going topside again. Ping's coming out. Looks like they want a repeat play, but Owner was spotted on a ward. Kingan should see this coming, and he will just clear the wave out.
He doesn't seem to care. He's just like, yeah, I can clear this and survive. Now he's just trying to run away. It is only Owner.
Yeah, he knows the wave gone. Faker can't get to him. Owner alone isn't enough, so doing a good job of playing defense. And on the other side, not only do D+ get Dragon, but they also throw the Herald down to help with that push. They may get a second charge on this if they really want to.
And it's Mountain Soul, by the way.
That is a good one for them.
Huge value for, I'd say, both teams in this game. But yeah, especially on the side of D+Kia, I suppose, with all their tanks and an MF, as now a wall's going to come down. The amount of value they're getting in the bottom lane is pretty huge at this point in time. Looks like they want to get an inner here. Solar Flare comes down on Aiming, who just throws in a cleanse, and we get a Slicing Maelstrom. Meanwhile, a dive on the top side, as again, Kingen says there's no wave.
Yeah, Kingen doing a great job disengaging. Aiming actually waited a bit with his cleanse, and I feel like he baited Zeus into ulti.
Yeah.
So great mind games there. Does take a bit of damage, but he's got Bloodthirster. It doesn't matter. Kingen does have to flash the stun, but they're nowhere near getting the tower right now. D+ got the dragon on the bot side, got 2 towers. They are winning in this trade by a pretty large margin.
Yeah.
And even though the gold leads in favor of T1, you look at where all that gold is, it's on the Poppy. And don't get me wrong, a tanky Poppy is useful, but it's not game winning.
It's definitely not game winning. I think that, you know, at least there's not going to be a huge amount of armor pen built, I suppose, here. But, you know, once we get to the later stages of the game, I feel like the MF will get in there, but not your traditional kind of auto attack, hyper carry, 80 carry. And they have a Talia, so we'll see if they can shoot through that Poppy. But as you mentioned, it's just Poppy. Everybody else is I guess mid is going well for Faker. You know, he's ahead by 40 CS. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, the mid jungle are doing good for T1, and in fairness, it's not like Guma or Zeus are super far behind, but D+'s structure and objective control has had the edge so far. And I think, you know, we're seeing a total CS on the side. There is a big gap in the mid lane. So it's still anyone's game, I think, is the takeaway. But this third dragon, I think, is really going to tell the story. If we do see D+ secure it, they get close to Soul, but also the winner of that fight could just translate straight into a Baron on the back of it. We do see teams starting to set a vision in that area as it will spawn up.
Yeah. No Zyra on the Rift, so it's not like anyone's going to just be able to start it up right away, especially with the Jhin there for T1. I mean, they do have the Corkius. Now they're trying to get on top of Kellen here, but this is Braum, so he holds the door. And that's about that. This side lane is still a problem for T1, it feels.
He did like 10% of his health, you know. That's something, right?
Yeah, he is level 8.
Yeah, I feel like there's... Oh, Lucid taking a bit of damage. Definitely a lot of jostling for control of this area. You know, it's still 2 minutes till the dragon, and they're just making sure they have control here first and foremost before it comes to that. Kingen has incredible amounts of prio, though, in the bot lane, and that always makes pushing up mid scary, because if Guma goes too far, suddenly a Renekton could be on the flank. And, you know, with aiming, with this Bloodthirster Essence Reaver, so easy to shove up without contest, means that D+ have found control in this area, and are just sweeping out all the T1's vision.
Yeah, it does feel like D+Kia is taking this very carefully, you know, just trying to set up as much vision as possible with the prio that they have, not really overstepping their bounds, respecting where T1 have their leads, and aiming still pushing. I feel like that play for the bottom tier 2, generally it just feels nice to get all that gold, but as you mentioned, that extra pressure from the bottom lane, that's just been going well since minute 1. You know, this was a counter pick for Zeus, and we still haven't seen huge value out of the Kennen. And now that they're not hugely ahead, unless he gets like a massive 5-man flank, he's just going to get exhausted and kind of just not do much. When
you're setting the pace of the game with a Kennen and you're basically just finding fights and ulting, it's so hard to have exhaust up for it.
Yeah.
But when the game is slowed down and D+ are the ones leading the charge, they can set the pace and play around their exhaust cooldown. It's going to be a struggle for Zeus to get an impactful ult, I feel. And you know Cullen's going to be trying to shut him down in this next one. No Locket, though, I will say. Definitely a great item against Kennen. We've seen the owners picked up the Locket for himself, so he can definitely mitigate a decent amount of aiming's ultimates. But seeing Kellen going for the Warmogs that we typically get from most supports, but also Lucid as well, going in that direction.
Yeah, do a little extra running, I suppose. Got to be in the right place at the right time. Now Showmaker's going down to the bottom lane. It's not going to be Kingen anymore, who actually goes to the top lane, but is backing. Maybe trying to set up here for the dragon that we do have in 20 seconds.
And you can see the control so in favor of D+ right now, and especially with the Maokai, those saplings are pretty hard to deal with. If you've lost control of the area, it's going to be difficult to get it back.
Little engage Braum action here from Kellen, just trying to make some room, as now a wall's going to happen as Keria gets very far ahead of his team, but already Kellen getting pretty low. It is going to be just a Maokai ultimate to disengage. Kellen has to flash away, but he gets hit by the third bullet, and now we've got Owner right on top of him. Kellen is just dead, and Lucid might die too. He has to flash away, and he gets a disengage cone and survives.
And what an unforced error from D+. There was no reason for Kellen to go for this, and now you've lost all bot lane sums. Zeus has flash ult, and there's no exhaust.
They want to fight.
Cannot fight. There's no way. There's no way they should fight this.
Well, they're going to TP, and I mean, Owner has Hex Flash, and maybe he doesn't get it off, as, yeah, the stun will come in, and he's in a little bit of trouble. Now everybody on T1 is going to stay. The knockout comes in, but Kingen is a raid boss right now, and Baker's just going to Valkyrie over the wall, and they TP in, they get nothing.
Yeah, they even extract the Poppy. They don't end up going for the fight in that situation, don't want to risk it. But honestly, I feel like there was a decent chance if Zeus got a big ult, they would have just won it. And there's no reason for this play here. Forcing on Aguma, he ults Owner. This is why engage form just isn't a thing. And they get the summons from aiming, Carrier flashes out, and the ult angle from Aguma means he doesn't connect on a Kellen. But here, the exhaust is so unnecessary. Just save it, you know?
Yeah.
Burn for no reason, I feel there. You're gonna die anyway. And then they try and set up on an Owner to pick him after the Dragon, but T1 hang around just to make sure they can extract their jungler. The movement speed for the Poppy doing a good job, and Faker able to Valkyrie out again. I feel like D+ were in such a good spot for that fight, and they just threw it away.
They set it up so nicely, and then I don't know who it was, but somebody made the call to go for that, and it just did not look very good. It's like your little brother comes in and knocks over your house of cards that you set up so nicely after 3 hours.
Never again.
Yeah, I don't know. That was definitely questionable. And T1 immediately trounce on that, and they get the value. They don't get massive value, but they do get the Drake, they get the exhaust, they get the bot sums, as you mentioned, and they're still in this game. They're still ahead on gold. I feel like they very much like their position a lot better now than they did, 2 minutes ago.
Yep, so managed to navigate a bit of a tricky one. And those extra resists, we talked about the tanky Poppy not being an auto win, but she is getting very tanky. And those extra resists, especially with her W passive, she can just be so hard to finish off when she's low. And as you said before, MF isn't a tank killer. And sustained damage on a single target is tricky for her because of passive, she has to switch targets if she wants to keep rocking it. I think that even with the LDR coming through, Owner is one of these champions who can very quickly get out of an MF ultimate.
And Talia does not deal with Poppy very well in terms of dealing damage, especially with that build from behind.
Yeah, Horizon focus instead of the Liandry's. So really no major threat to Owner in this situation. It is an underfed Talia, not going to pose too much of a threat. And I think this is where the concerns start to come in for D+.
Yeah, it's almost like, I don't know, it feels like support Talia. It's like, hey, let me hit this long-ranged rock and give everybody a little bit of vision. Yeah, just maybe trying not to engage too much in the fights, but they need another threat that's not MF. I mean, aiming has done so much for this team over the last couple of weeks, and they need someone else.
And if this was aiming's Kai'Sa, I think I'd feel a lot more concerned for T1. The MF, though, I think the thing he illustrated in draft was the Leona being able to shut down the ultimates. If that's still a potential thing, if Zeus is on a flank, the cleanse isn't going to allow you to freely ult. It's not like Olaf ultimate where you can just pop it and then channel for free. He is going to come back up. His flash is up pretty soon. Will be up obviously for that dragon. But T1 trying to set up vision once again around this Baron. T1 notorious for their Baron setups.
They did just have 3 people walk right past a ward, which was kind of unfortunate.
This ward here you can see in T1's blue side jungle, just a little bit north of where the blue spawns. I feel like D+ have had a ward there pretty much the entire game when they've had them freely available, and it's had a lot of value as spotting T1 members trying to make a move towards top lane.
Also could be huge if we get Kingen hitting level 16 and getting like a huge flank. If T1 are really trying to pressure onto the Baron and they don't clear that out, you're going to have a Croc in places you don't want to have it. And it's at least for the side of T1. So we'll see how that goes. Still a very even game. And it does feel like both teams are kind of slowly just moving towards getting ready for this dragon spawn.
Yeah, definitely feels like the focus is just around playing for these dragons, and you know, all those sums that we'd been earlier hasn't really led to anything. They're back up, obviously. You know, in the moment, not having sums means D+ were hesitant about opting in the fight, but now they have them back up again. The exhaust is available for Zeus' ultimate. We do see Ona now with 3 items on that Poppy, and there's some good items. Infinity Edge comes in for Guma. That's a pretty big spike, and Faker's well past his 3 items.
Yeah.
And
why did Owner even build MR? Like, I don't know. Is it really even worth it to build the 1?
There's a decent amount, you know, getting thrown about. It still gives a lot of health.
Yeah. They give you a shield as well.
Tank the saplings.
Sure, sure. Now we are just trying to fight here for this one. Kingen is on the flank, and he is level 16. But the dodge from Lucid, he will not be denied from this pit. It just comes down to a flip, and it goes to Jin. It goes to Jin. How did he even get that? Did he just W it? Or just ult it, maybe, I guess. And now DK are like, well, we'd really love to fight. Oh, that's a nice little knockback. Carry in a bit of trouble. Now Lucid looking for that frontline. Carry just has to go in, knows that he's going to be kited out once to get his team away. But Guma, you're going the wrong way. Okay, well, he's actually just going to run up through the top jungle and get away. I don't know about Zeus, though.
This is...
He's buying time.
A tree in a hard place.
They're trying to, like, threaten Baron. That's not going to happen with 3 people. Okay, well, here comes King, and he's just going to flash on them. He's got aiming nearby, but King is just dead. And, yeah, Poppy's unkillable, so I don't know about this one. Kellen in a rough spot, but aiming running into 3 people. Has to flash away and baits Kellen in as well. Aiming is just going to die. As once again, D+ Kia dropped the ball. T1 immediately picked that one up. And Faker picks up 2 kills.
And D+ just get rushed into the play. They lose the dragon on a flip. They have Zeus dead to rights, but the rest of the team try and force something like, hey, Zeus is going to die. We should make something happen. They get baited in, and the Poppy value comes up huge, shutting down King. And now they are starting this Baron. Showmaker and Lucid are there to defend, but it's 4v2. And with Carrier there, I'm not sure Lucid's going to get anywhere near.
Yeah, I mean, you just get stunned away. He does have flash, but yeah, there comes Carrier over the wall. There goes Owner as well, just zone them away, but no, he's not the pit! He went out of the pit, no way! And Lucid just gonna come in and say, thank you very much, free Baron. I will take that 100% of the time.
What a massive play there. The Baron was too low. T1, who we typically praise for their patience, for their control around Baron, completely fumble. And we'll see the play here. It's a great dodge from Lucid. He then pops the ult. Owner starts to disengage. And I guess...
I think he just autoed it. 4th shot? No?
It wasn't even 4th shot. Maybe
no, it wasn't.
Cuba? I have no idea. I couldn't see.
Was it Jin Trap? Like,
I honestly don't know. We'd need a slow-mo, and that was going pretty fast. But yeah, a great ult from Carrier to stop the MF ult. Carrier knows he's dead. He just backs up. But here, D+, like, everything's great, we're healthy, Zeus is 100% dead.
Oh boy.
But then they face check in here, and the Poppy's such a good answer to the Renekton. Just slams him in, he gets bursted. Kellen, not tanky enough to withstand this damage. And aiming is confident, but it's 280 carries against 1. You don't win that. And at this point, I'm like, wow, well, T1, that might be the game-winning play. But Lucid... Oh, the flash. Oh, oh, just a little late. Gives him the free ride in the Baron.
It's like literally everything that could have gone wrong went wrong for T1.
You see how stunned they were? Because no one expected him to pull that off. Fantastic from Lucid, and now Baron in favor of D+. Gold is even.
I mean,
Engage Braum.
Yeah.
Still not working.
It's not working.
Trying to pitch it, but like, stop trying to make Engage Braum work.
Yeah, they don't have that much great engage outside of Lucid flash Wing, which, as we know, is not good for Lucid or for Maokai, really. He's more of a disengage kind of, you throw up your ult and you say no to everybody that's coming at you, but yeah, other than that, it's like Braum.
The problem is, if you throw the ult in, Owner blocks it, and Owner is so tanky, it's like, it's so whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, D+ definitely having some struggles with closing the distance on this one. Renekton getting shut down heavily by Owner on this Poppy. But all in all, D+ not really finding much with this Baron. I think part of the difficulty is they'd already taken a lot of structures, and these deeper structures are harder to get. But T1 still focused on this mid tier 1 tower. Dragon in a minute would be the 3rd for either team. T1 really want to take this down before he gets to that point, but you can see D+ in full force to defend.
Yeah, Faker will respect that. And, I mean, at the end of the day, I think everybody on the side of T1 also knows that, okay, unless we get flashed on by Maokai, who, by the way, they should know he doesn't have flash.
I think they're very aware he doesn't have flash.
They will know that he does not have that because he just maybe pulled back the game with it.
I probably imagine like 10 to 15 Maokai flash pings after that Baron. Maybe more.
And now Lucid is just getting engaged on. He might just die. He's gonna Twisted Advance, though. He's still alive. Gets his ult out, and they save Mr. President somehow. But Kellen and Lucid super low. Down will go Kellen. Faker just gonna, well, shoot him. And T1 still desperate to take this T1. I don't think they're gonna get it. Faker?
You don't do that much damage to towers, Fake. I think the problem is, though...
This game, man.
D+ were actually fine if Kellen didn't die. He had Warmogs, he could have healed up.
Yeah.
But now he's gone down. The exhaust is off the map for a bit, but it looks like T1 feel the need to heal up, so they go for the reset. Looks like Kellen's going to get time to respawn. You know, despite this being super close, Owen's so tanky here. Face tanks so much damage, and Lucid narrowly surviving thanks to Kellen blocking. But this would be fine for D+ because of the double Warmogs, but Kellen just oversteps. There's no real reason there. Unfortunately, D+ doesn't seem to amount to anything. You can see Kellen moving over, but he might be too late. They're already doing the dragon. They could just get this and get out.
Yeah, Lucid almost has his flash, but it's a little bit too late. He is in the pit. There. Okay, there's the ult. I was like, what?
And Kellen just single-handedly cost them the dragon by stepping up. That you have Warmogs. Play for it.
Yeah. That wasn't great. And now we have 3 Mountain Drakes here for T1.
Yeah, this Poppy, we've talked all game about
Where's
how
his Warmogs? He doesn't want Warmogs?
You only need Warmogs if you lose health.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, to be fair, he did lose a lot of health in the last fight, but definitely going for more resistances here, going for the Thornmail next, which has a good amount of value. It's a lot of armor, but also cuts down on Aiming's healing, and he is nearly full build now. You can see Guma nearly has that LDR, big spike for the Jhin. Faker already has his Infinity Edge. So T1 really approaching some big spikes, and you look on the other side and Showmaker, he now has that Leandries, but he's still so far behind.
Yeah.
Not really posing that much of a threat, and I think with a composition like this, with Showmaker behind, with Kingen struggling to have impact against the Poppy, if Aiming's ult is low value, you just lose the fight on Owner.
Yeah.
And he outruns it.
COG Owner is his name from, well, he did leave the pit on the Baron, but yeah. I think he did everything else very well.
I can forgive him for that. But, but also Lucid with a clutch play in return.
I don't think anyone else really is vying for that POG on the side of T1.
Maybe Faker's had a decent game.
Yeah.
He did.
He does have 415.
He did right-click Kellen when Kellen poked up.
True.
That was a really strong, powerful play.
It was a very clutch right-click.
Yeah.
Say that. Third Mountain Drake in the bag. Mountain Drake, or Mountain Soul point. And it denies it from DK, obviously.
Yeah, QSS picked up from Aiming. And again, like the value of the cleanse against the T1 composition is huge, but these cleanses don't change. Don't make it so you're able to just free channel an ult.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think we'd see it ever, but even like an Edge of Night could actually be a value buy to stop the carrier ult to deny.
Yeah.
Just an interesting thought, but going for the Mix-Sim in this situation, and both teams posturing again around the Baron River. Kellen threatening. He'll engage if you allow him to walk at you.
I feel like T wants to just like kind of move back and forth right in front of Kellen and be like, hey, we're very vulnerable here. You might want to engage Braum on us. Take a look at that mid-item value gap at the moment. Over 4,000, the difference.
A decent amount. Kingen once again pushing in the bot lane. And you know what? I honestly feel a bit bad for King because he had such a fantastic lane. But then he's playing Renekton in a Poppy Leona in the late game.
Yeah.
Yeah, not having the most fun.
Can't really push into the cannon either. I mean, he is still ahead.
Cannon with Zhonya's and ult, it's not like you can dive that.
Yeah.
So he kind of just pushes the wave in and looks to move. But there's a lot of good vision from T1. You can see in the bot side covering.
They're scanning around the Baron pit, and they're missing every single ward. There's 2 around the Baron, 1 over the wall here.
Oh, wait, they missed that!
They even missed it with the plants! And I've seen this before. That's a root. A little bit of damage. Okay, Kellen's just desperate to get away, but man, Faker does so much damage right now. Forces the flash.
No flash, no ult on Kellen. How will D+ engage now?
Yeah. It does feel pretty silly, but that's been what they've been relying on.
And now they're starting up. Lucid has flash.
Uh-oh.
though.
Lucid is here.
Don't 50-50 it again. They're gonna.
They're just gonna. Okay. Well, he dodged the ult. Oh, but the timing. They burst it down. T1 get away with the Baron.
Yeah, good coordination, and the timing is perfect because it's still a minute 15 till Dragon. Often teams will be waiting for that Dragon to spawn and try and threaten the Baron in return. But they get Baron, they can reset, they can push out, they can get control, and look to secure Soul. So huge for T1. Definitely in control now. And Kellen's had a rough one. You know, him losing the pressure there allowed T1 to set up for that Baron and aiming. Sorry, not aiming. Lucid wasn't even able to get there in time. I think at this point, D+ are starting to feel a lot rougher about how their team fights are going.
Yeah, I would say we do have the finished Scimitar here from aiming. He is full builds, but he's still MF into a Poppy that's unkillable, and a Leona that's going to be right on top of him.
I think it's just difficult to keep everyone in your ultimate. Guma has Cleanse, Merc treads on 3 members of T1. You know, it's going to be hard to root people up and make them sit inside your ultimate. Oh my, did you see that damage on Showmaker from the Jhin?
Yeah.
I think, you know, we've seen a lot of useless Jhins in the LCK. You kind of forget how much AD he gets in the late game and how even something as simple as like a trap into a W can just do that to a squishy.
Yeah, and Guma's been one of our best Jhins. Maybe just our best Jhin in the LCK, as Lucy's just going to engage here on a Poppy, nearly dies, but now the knockout, and Faker's just going to go down in the front line, just get Seismic shoved into the team, and now Owner's got to back away. T1 can not fight over this one, and they had Baron. This feels like a game of volleyball. We're just booping the ball back and forth between the two teams.
Good catch, though, from D+ there. See, they were toying with the idea of Owner and decided against killing the Poppy, mostly because it wasn't really an option for them. But they find Faker, and now they can apply the pressure. Guma dodges the engaged Braum, but the turret is definitely going to go down. And D+, just when it started to feel like the game was slipping away, they find their angle, they find their way back in. Now Showmaker threatening with a wall.
Yeah. He'll throw it up, and that should... Okay, we're just going to stun the front line here. Carry on a bit of trouble, but the Owner ult does come out, but it's not enough, as that only hit the Maokai. And yeah, they get another pick. So now DK, they've got a little snowball rolling here in mid, looking for this inhibitor at least, even into Baron. Not carrying with the man advantage, just able to push in and take mid inhibitor.
And you can see Guma looking for an angle there. With the rapid fire cannon, he could have done a ton of damage to aiming, but doesn't quite have it ready. A sequence of mistakes from T1. Owner, I know he's tanky, but he's got to be a bit careful.
Yeah. At this point in the game, there's just so much damage that tanks even have to be careful.
I think at least Owner is very tanky, but the supports, they're so starved in gold, as is in pro play, how it always goes, so they are easy targets. We see the replay here, and Faker had to flash the seismic shove. You know, we saw Showmaker in the laning phase not flash when he needed to. A lot more impactful at this point when Faker doesn't, so ends up getting caught out. And this play, carry a Celestial opposition, and Aftershock and W feels tanky, but you know, you have one item as a support at this point of the game against full build MF. You're just not going to be able to survive. Guma now has his rapid fire though, and that is a big spike. His autos are going to do absurd damage, especially like a fourth shot. A fourth shot, if you're like 60% HP, I think you just die as a
So that's aiming and Showmaker mostly, and with the amount of movement speed he gets as well, like you already see sprinting around the map, reloading, fooling us all. But yeah, he's not going to be fooling anyone when he shoots either Talia or MF down. And you know, this game is still up in the air. You know, there have been a bunch of critical mistakes from both teams. Easily, we can say that here, but we're 42 minutes in. The gold is pretty much exactly even. Both teams have an even number of Drakes. Yes, T1 have more tankiness. But I really just think it's going to come down to one team fight, one big execution from either side to take the win.
We are pushing towards that point. If it's a big team fight win, then definitely can be in the bag at this point. The teams have so much damage, they can end so quickly. But if it's even a slight one, you know, the Baron's in a minute 30. Baron definitely useful, don't get me wrong, but the Soul being in 2 minutes, such a big difference maker. Obviously, the tanks have already got a decent amount of resistances from the Dragons, but that extra shield can make such a difference for the squishies, just making them more durable. Aiming already has a massive shield, so he's kind of cheating. He gets 2.
Yeah.
So.
No Ivern in this game. Finally, the Locket was built, by the way, by Kellen, so he's got 2 items.
Yeah, Locket and Exhaust is just anti-Kennen itemization. Not going to have a fun time if you are Zeus playing into that.
Do the top laners matter?
There are top laners in this game?
Actually, no, yeah, I take that back. I don't think so. Yeah, no, I think it's 4v4. So Showmaker did, okay, he got him, he did like 500 damage.
He got the Rukin shield, you know?
Yeah.
That's an achievement in and of itself. But not as strong as it used to be when the Iron Fist came out. But D+, set up well, get the tier 2 top. You can see how quickly they can take those right now. Aiming had sold his boots for GA, so he's gone beyond the full build. He's gone full build.
Even further beyond?
Yeah, at this point.
That's slow. Oh, okay. Engage Braum again. They are going to get Guma, though, in a really rough spot. He nearly dies as he's able to back away. And engage Braum actually pays off here for DK, as now Jin ult's going to be open up. Guma trying to do his own impression, but that's not going to do nearly as much. And now I see the top laner, Kingen, just standing in front of the team. The meat shield is his function, as now DK just going to play with all this vision. And they will take the Baron.
Engage Braum does something. Guma doesn't want to burn summoners there. He's like, I am not burning summoners to an engage Braum. He refuses, nearly dies for it, and is so low now. The reset has to come in, but T want to focus on, like, we don't care about Baron right now. We care about Soul. A little bit of extra AP and AD. We'll just tank it. But they managed to disengage from the situation. And Guma a little bit overextended. He tries to auto for the movement speed, but Kellen flashed Qs, and then he's like, you know what?
Oh,
I'm fine.
One more tick, he's dead.
Calculated. And then Ona's like, oh, please leave me alone. But he's very tanky, so it's fine. And now we got to set up for Dragon. Aiming's ult is coming up soon. Lucid's is as well. Kellen's is too. Everyone has sums apart from Kellen losing that flash. But those ult timers is going to be critical when we're setting up for this. You can see D+ starting off the Dragon, and T1 trying to move in.
Yeah, we'll see how this one goes. We do have the Weaver's Wall up, and Owner's going to be on the opposite side of that. It's just going to be, yeah, taken down by DK, and now Carry is caught on the top side. Down will go the Leona, and they still have 2 minutes of Baron buff, plus Mountain Soul, plus 5v4.
You can see that double shield on Aiming. So much to burn through, and remember, he's got the GA and the mix in. He actually has very high resists with those double Mountain Dragons for an 80 carry. He's not going to be an easy target to punch through. Zeus was already having a bad time. It's just gotten worse if he's trying to take down any targets. And D+, this game's been so back and forth, but they've regained control right now.
Just trying to push here for the mid inhib. They're going to taxi this cannon minion in, and they will take this one down. As meanwhile, there's the engage, this time from the Maokai. Owner does get an ult away, and he is so tanky, but Faker will be the first one to go down. And Owner also very low. Lucid nearly loses his life. Looking for that top turret right now, and they should be able to take down this inhibitor.
See, Owner nearly gets shredded there, but does just survive. So tanky, but Faker down. 5v4. Zeus needs a monster ult here if they're going to make their way into this game.
He hasn't had a big opportunity. Now he's going to throw it in the exhaust immediately, and he just dies. He just pops like a balloon, and Guma desperate to do something in this game, but it's not going to happen. D+ Kia will finally take game number 1, even losing Showmaker there right at the end. They don't care. They just want the victory that you see on your screen. D+ Kia take the lead 1-0.
And it was such a back and forth game there. It felt like there were so many moments where people made mistakes, people sort of threw the game back to the other side, but D+ held strong. Their setup around objectives on the back of the Maokai was huge. And in the end, you know, things like the Lucid Baron play were the difference makers. In a game that close, clutch moments will define it. And Lucid pretty clutch and Aiming, having a really solid game. You know, we talked about how the Kai'Sa would be the pick for him. He's been monstrous on it, brings out the MF, not something we've seen very much from him, and has a really, really solid game on it.
He definitely does. I feel like both teams may be shaking off the rust from the esports weekend. I'm not 100% sure, as we already have some fans crying after what was a very back and forth, kind of heart-wrenching game in both directions. There were definitely moments where I was like, T1 absolutely take it from here. And then I was like, no, DK absolutely take it from here. At the end of the day, D+ Kia did absolutely take the game, but man, that was thrown back and forth many times.
And I feel like so many people had great moments, and then there was just a myriad of people having struggles. You know, Kellen had some rough points, but but had that good play that got them the Baron. Showmaker had a rough lane, but then later had some decent walls. Faker, great lane for that rough ending.
Yeah.
I think everyone's going to need to bounce back from a very hectic game one.
Pretty much just Lucid was the only guy who was kind of consistent, and he should pick up POG. Either way, guys, we're going to take a break and have the space. We'll be right back.
오른쪽 쪽에 볼때
앞에 나갈게 앞에
세게
불편할게 밀면서 딱 돌아줘
아 봐볼게
아 거의 빨리 뽑기
날라갔다 빼면서
날라갔어
야 잡았어
그렇게 잘 빼면서
천천히
야나 더블 탑 야나 오버가 탑해줄게 나 오버 피치 탑 이번에 길게 해서 끝낼 생각 하자 나 95초 야 이번에 나 케넨한테 풀 W 각도 볼게 천천히 해도 돼나 90초야
야 앞라인부터
야 나가자 내가 꺼내줄게 나 90초 천천히 해도 돼 90초야 야야 진 야 막았다 나 구있다
아 이겼어
아 나이스
다음 판 잘하자 얘들 천천히 집중
Ultimately, the Jhin just couldn't follow through on the damage. Too many tanky targets. I do think the Mountain Soul was a factor in that. Obviously, kind of turned everyone into a tank, even the MF. But I think it's getting tricky to ban aiming out, which I've always thought of him as a player with a more limited pool, like specifically things like the Kai'Sa, the Zeri, the Ezreal. But he's been bringing out the Ashe, bringing out the MF, playing really well, and they already devoted a lot of bans to him in the first draft and weren't able to push him off comfort.
Yeah, he just looks comfortable on a lot of things, and that's, I think, the point you were trying to make, right? And we'll see if any of these bans look any different here, as they're going to ban Rumble first. That does mean that they have a chance to ban maybe a Corki instead of an Azir, but I would imagine that Faker just says, okay, I'll just play Azir then.
Talia instead of the Vi.
Yeah.
And Showmaker's laughing. Showmaker probably said, you know, if I said of that series, I'm never playing Talia again. After that game, sorry. Didn't have the best game.
I mean, KRCast knew. Gave him the POG vote, okay.
Well, I definitely don't think Talia was the problem in that game. And giving Lucid Vi might be a major cause for concern. But they're going to ban the Talia, and they're going to pick the Corki. Maybe felt like the Talia was shutting down their ability to close the distance, but I just think D+ are very happy with this situation. We'll see if they opt in the Rex again. I think even though Renekton struggled to have an impact before, Kingen still had a great lane, so maybe they keep that pick, but they could just go Renek and Vi in this situation is a possibility.
They're playing Vi, I think, 100%. The only other question is, what are they going to pick alongside of it? And that is going to be the Renekton. So I would expect, I mean, there is a lot of discussion here on the side of Lucid. So maybe he says, okay, after all those bans that were targeted into the Vi, into me, I'm not going to play it, actually, which would be very interesting.
Yeah, maybe scared of the Vi into the Poppy, but I don't think so. I think definitely T1 are going to take the Poppy into this. I think if you're going to leave the Vi open, it's because you're like, we think the owner can handle it on the Poppy. So I expect that. Do we get the Kennen again from Zeus? I feel like that was the least impactful Kennen game I've ever seen.
Kalista?
Yes, but instead they're like, no, we want bot lane strength. We don't want to go to the second rotation. We're picking Kalista Renata off the bat. And Renata definitely good into Vi Renekton, but Vi good into that Kalista. And we said we weren't really happy with the mid-jungle duo picks from Lucid and Showmaker last game. Maokai Talia did not inspire joy. But Vi Ahri, something we've seen many times, particularly recently, BNK and FairX being very successful with it. And it looks like that might be the angle. I think Ari going to have a bit of a rough time into the Corki. And it looks like they opt against it as a result. The TF going to come out again. And if I'm playing Kalista and there's a TF and a Vi on the other team, I'm not going to have a fun time.
Yeah, the bailout might get a lot of value. We'll see about how that works in this game.
I can't wait to sit in a stun card during bailout. That sounds...
Feels great.
Yeah.
Cassante bans here. Now, as you mentioned before, you know, they could have gone for Cannon, but they did not. So this is going to chunk out a little bit of Zeus's main pool. But we know he can play a lot of different things. I'm curious to see what he will play in a King in.
And I feel like we struggled to see the impact of the Cannon last game into like Talia, into Maokai. But you're against a TF. It's so hard to get flanks against this pick. So easy for him just to collapse on you. So it could be really hard for the Cannon this game as well. Might be a big reason why D+ are banning the Cassante and not maybe as concerned about top lane picks. And they really aren't. They're like, you know what? Pick the Cannon again. Kingen will win lane against you. And in team fights, you won't get the value. I love the Poppy van, actually. That's the pick I'm thinking. If you're letting the Vi open, it's because you're taking Poppy. And they won't get the option now. They ban the MF, but Zeri is open. Kai'Sa is open. You know, you got a Vi already lead the charge. I think aiming is fine in this situation. The one thing I am concerned about, though, is the lane matchup. Getting through lane is going to be the bigger ask. Taking an 80 carry that matches his team comp is going to be pretty straightforward.
I love how the DK fans are very into... Shinx? Zeri, okay, jeez. Yeah, it's just going to be Zeri. All the DK fans are very in tune with what their players play, and they cheered when the Zeri came out. They did not cheer when the Jinx was hovered.
Yeah, and you know, it's going to be a rough lane. I think this is the win con that T1 wanted, is strong lanes in the sides, and they've achieved that this time. The problem is it's a strong mid jungle from D+. You can spread that pressure there. Now they're trying to work out what to play in the top lane, toying with the idea of the Jax, but not going to lock it in yet. Looking for the Viego. I think at least with the Viego, you can ult to kind of buffer things like the Vi ult, the TF ult, so an area of safety there, but
comfort for Owner as well.
Definitely comfort for Owner. Don't feel like he has quite the lockup yet, and they're trying to work out what to pick for Zeus. The Jax did get nerfed recently, Counter-Strike a longer cooldown, but I guess into a Zeri, into a Renekton, into a TF, they're like, something that can stop people auto-attacking would be nice.
Once again, Kellen is going to get final pick here on the red side, especially with the Renekton priority. This does end up happening very often. He knew what he was playing into a long time ago, but now he sees the whole comp.
You can honestly just take Lulu here. Like, you have Engage in your composition. Lulu's ult, the knockup is now a second. They buffed it a while back from 0.75. And you have a Vi. Oh, and a Renekton. You know, if Vi goes in onto Guma, he gets knocked up, then you ult as well to chain the knockup.
Gold card.
Like, how are you supposed to play the game? It is still going to be a rough lane, but that's a given. We knew it was going to be a rough lane. And at least now you have a range support who can shield aiming when he's trying to disengage from a Kalista.
Yeah.
I think D+'s comp in 5v5s is fantastic. And it really comes down to, can T1 stomp them in the dirt early on? Can Owner pop off in skirmishes? Can Guma get fed? Because I think if they don't, I think D+ are going to have a great time.
Yeah, this feels, you know, like T1, they have something similar, but obviously a lot more power down on the bottom side. And if that doesn't really get them ahead, DK just kind of roll them once it hits mid-game. But we'll have to wait and see how it actually does play out. It feels as well like DK, you know, they weren't really playing their style in game one. Now this is very much their style. Like, this looks like the perfect DK comp.
Yeah, they got a hyper carry for aiming to clean up fights. They have a strong mid-jungle combo for Lucid and Showmaker. And a Faker and Owner, if they stumble in that mid-jungle matchup, I think the TF being free to roam, the game is probably just over on the back of that. So T1, it was a very mistake-heavy game one. They cannot make mistakes here or it will cost them heavily.
Absolutely. It's got to be clean from both sides here, jumping out of the rift for game number 2.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Kia having a fantastic summer so far. They're 1 win ahead of T1 in series. If they win this, they are then 2 series ahead. And really, I mean, they guarantee playoffs. Maybe not mathematically, but I mean, if you're knocking T1 down a bit, that removes one of your main opponents to potentially move ahead of you, and they've already performed so well.
Yep.
And now they've got a lead here in this series as well.
And third place gives you choice of opponent in the first round of playoffs. And obviously getting top 2 and getting the first round bye is what every team wants. But with that loss to Life Esports, doesn't seem likely for D+ now. But if they get choice of opponent, you know, we've seen a lot of teams struggling in that sort of middle of the table pack. If D+ get to choose their opponent, they probably should be an easy route to the double elimination stage of playoffs, and that gives a lot of security.
Yeah. That would be pretty interesting, actually, to see who they do end up choosing. You know, who ends up in 5th and 6th place in the first place, and then...
So smart.
Yep, take a look at this. Hey, it's a little lane swap-arino, as nice little flash with the Counter-Strike, but...
That feels horrible, though, for
you
Zeus.
still feel awful.
Yep, and now it's that situation where you have to rush into, oh, we have to lane swap now. We don't have a choice. Kingen is just going to be a nuisance here. He's going to try and force a smite or something.
Smite's down, but
oh yeah,
definitely trying to at least chunk them down. I mean, Zeus already chunked a bit, and Owner maybe denied access to his wolves. Meanwhile, I mean, we see Lucid is just kind of getting a free clear at the moment. We do have Keria moving in.
Lane swap's super good when you have a lane matchup like this, bot lane, where you know you're in a big disadvantage. But something we saw when the lane swap meta emerged, not even at MSI, but before that, was that lane swaps felt so severe when you weren't ready for them. And the other team had one planned and were going into it. And it was very clear from this T1, weren't ready for a lane swap to happen. Didn't do the homework to check for it. Zeus got baited, and now he's just stuck here getting no value. And yes, T1 are going to get more plates, but they were going to their plan was to hard stomp lane and get plates.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, though, anytime you're drafting so heavily for bottom lane, you have to have this in the back of your mind, but it seemed like they just really did not expect it at all.
And I feel like lane swaps still existing in some form, and them existing at MSI was a massive nerf to how T1 want to play. You know, this is a team who love to have strong side lane matchups and rely on that power, and they can't really do that when lane swaps are a thing. We see it's just going to be that early swap. You don't swap for too long because it's hard to match on plates with the increased defenses on the top lane plates. So, but I think navigating those first couple of levels, because realistically, if T1 have prio bot, they could just set up an early dive. But now Aiming's struggling to even get to the tower. He needs Lucid and Kellen there to walk him in. And Kellen is level 1, by the way.
Yeah. Well, they will be able to be walked in at least. Lucid just going to punch the air. But Aiming did get chunked out a bit. So, you know, at the end of the day, this lane swap, it does what it was meant to do early on. But now Aiming... he is in a little bit of a rough spot. Kellen, as you mentioned, still level 1.
Yeah, it doesn't... You know, the lane swap helps. It doesn't fix it. And also, Keria had Demolish. So he's able to pick up... They're able to get 3 plates. Often those trades, we see like a 2-for-1 trade.
Kellen trying to stop the back here. He will be successful, but has to trade flashes and his heal.
I think, as weird as it sounds, it's still weird for Kellen. You know, you trade sums, but you stop the recall. If Guma gets to spend, the lane gets a lot worse. But yeah, you know, they didn't get a plate top lane, did DK, and T1 have 3 bots. So this hasn't really gone as well as maybe they'd hoped, or maybe like it looked it would initially when Zeus was caught out. Yeah. He's doing fine so far on the top lane. Him TPing up to catch that big wave of XP definitely helped to mitigate any advantages Kingen had.
Yeah, it looked very silly in the moment, but it was absolutely the right play to just teleport half a lane up just to make sure you get the XP in gold.
We saw Zeus at MSI die on the tower and then TP straight back to die again just because he was so set on getting the XP. And top laners, you know, I remember Impact saying it around MSI that sometimes you have to die to get the experience. Because if you don't get the experience, things are so much worse for you than just giving away, you know, however much gold and a little bit of XP to the people who kill you.
Yeah. I mean, you die, you lose some, but it's better than losing everything, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's just how broken early levels are. You know, Zeus equal level with Kingen means he can kind of handle the matchup pretty okay. But Lucid is threatening is just taking the Grump away here. I'm not sure they'll go for a dive with him so healthy and Zeus getting his flashback. Very hard to do with a Renekton into Jax just because of the counter-strike. But Zeus is conscious of it and he's holding the wave as best he can.
Yeah. Also got Owner pathing up top, and they are going to find Lucid here. Might be forced to flash, but no, he gets his Q back.
Oh, you can see Ono was trying to... He was trying to threaten like a stun flash there, trying to force Lucid to flash, but Lucid just to disengage with the Q. But Grubs will be started, and bot lane still going badly.
Yeah, well, we do have TF in this game, as now the handshake is pretty good, but carrying a lot of trouble here as they're trying to trade it back is Guma, but his first blood going over to Zeri here, aiming, will pick up a big chunk of gold.
That's a Gold King for you. The Summoner trade from earlier ends up punishing Carrier, and the timing perfect because Showmaker had just hit 6. You could see that T1 didn't expect it, but also Guma didn't have his 6 yet. And that whole play goes completely differently if the Kalista has ultimate. I actually think they were just 2v3, being honest. You could see at the end, Carrier even tried to get the kill trade, but it just wasn't there. Showmaker with the early plated steel caps, able to mitigate, but he has not had a good time in lane so far. Down 20 CS plus already?
Yeah, that's it's not going to feel good. I mean, at least it is TF. You can get gold in other ways, but we are taking a look here at the play once again. Just very pushed up. TF presses R.
Greeted for Demolish, and you can see Carrier's like, I'm dead anyway. I'm just going to try and auto for the passive so the Guma can kill. But didn't have the bailout there, maybe on
이게
cooldown?
투패지. 정합했다.
This is TF. Yep, he's right. He is playing TF. Correct champion call out from Showmaker. I mean, obviously, you don't get to play against a lot of mid-TF unless you're playing into Showmaker, pretty much, in Pro.
Yeah.
So I would assume that maybe they just kind of slipped their minds.
Yeah, just a spur of the moment thing. But ultimately now the ult is there for Guma, and this tower is so low. So the lane swap, I don't think has worked. The gank mitigates, but doesn't keep them safe.
Ellen doesn't have flash, is about to get heal back. And, well, the handshake comes in. He takes a little bit of a chunk, but that's about it. Yeah, Showmaker's pretty good at this champ. This is a Showmaker champ. Confirmed. As in goes Kellen, there's the Dominus. No Counter-Strike right now for Zeus. Has his ult up, but trying to force the flash here is King in, and he's not going to be able to. Zeus just walks it off. But
honestly,
still advantage to the Croc.
I remember in spring when Zeus was playing Aatrox all the time and so was Kingin, and Zeus just looked so much better. And it felt rough that Kingin, he really felt underwhelming then. He's playing one of his signature champs, he's got a skin on, but Zeus is doing better. But recently, in this series, he has looked in a complete other form. And both games now having, and I mean, I know it's on Renekton, which is a strong pick at the moment, but he's just been lane gapping Zeus. The one shining light in this game so far, because everywhere else is having a rough time. D+ have just committed the swap. They're like, look, we are losing that tower anyway. Let's try to get some plates on the top side. You can see on the map, Carrier and Ona moving up to defend. Maybe you get a plate tops for D+, but after that, you need to get out of dodge.
Yeah, we'll get the one. Zeus actually going to hop in, but he's not denying anything. Also, Eamon gets the solo plate gold, which is very nice.
And we get a little bit of a view of what must have been happening mid lane. Showmaker not having fun in this matchup. Corki notoriously strong in lane, and you can see why. And T1, you know, they had a good lane, Faker into the Talia, but appearing to have an easier time Faker in this matchup and kind of just crushing it, even without a gank. You know, we saw game 1, it was a gank from Ona that helped out Faker. This time didn't even come in. Showmaker threw down the Ignite and still lost the trade.
Yeah, he's got Unsealed Spellbook at least, so he'll be working towards that TP here pretty quickly. But yeah, it doesn't make this lane any better. At least the TF can sometimes just be serviceable with an RFC and some movement speed.
Yeah.
And he is going for what looks to be the Rod of Ages, but we'll see when he does pick up that item. Sometimes you just go for the gold card. As here,
going for the full commit.
Full committal from the side of DK, and everybody on the side of T1 very out of position here. They're trying to just focus down Guma. They're not quite able to. The bailout comes in. He is going to be res, but down he goes. The trade is good for DK. And now Owner, oh, the flash is not going to be good, but he is able to get in range of actually ulting over the wall. Meanwhile, aiming, trying to punish Keria. That's not going to happen, and in fact, Owner does get away. So my bad on that one, but only the one kill go in the way of DK.
But DK now strong enough that they can get control off the Herald. Faker did not come to the play, didn't have TP up yet. And we'll see Zeus TP in just to cover this top tower. But I'd say a successful play for D+, especially as Aiming was the one who got the kill. But Faker getting very fed on this Corki once again. And Kingen making the mistake of trying to exist. He's like, dude, it's fine, I can take him. The Showmaker's like, I don't think you can. Kingen's like, I got this. He doesn't have this.
Plated steel caps is all you need, right?
Yeah. That true damage coming in clutch from Faker.
Showmaker's like, I have that item. Didn't help me. But Kingen just able to see us on our turret. But meanwhile, T1, I mean, they get the Infernal Drake. It is a Ocean Soul that we do have coming in here. As we'll take another look here at the committal on top side.
This is just such a beautiful setup from the side of D+. They were super overextended for this. Kingen with a flank, the ultimate comes in. And Guma does get the reset on a Showmaker, but it's not enough really to follow through in the fight. And then it's just escape mode. Zeus makes a great call to leave early. And Ono with the reset gets out. Basically just used Showmaker's soul for an escape there. Definitely didn't want to be the TF in that situation, because kind of weak. But yeah, and a nice getaway, I'll say, for T1, considering how well set up that was for D+. I could see that being a lot worse if they didn't make the call to immediately dip from that situation. But it still felt like an advantage in terms of what was taken for D+ there. And Faker, with a CS bounty right now, getting pretty fed on this Corki.
Yeah, he's doing really well. You see that actually the biggest gap is in support, and then second is jungle. So Faker, even with how well he's doing, he's still playing into TF, who has a couple of assists and his passive.
Yep. Free gold, free money. And I feel like that's one of the things, is that obviously when you're farming up a Storm in the TF, it feels good with the extra gold, but even if you're behind, still going to have a bit more than usual and be able to get those items. And as you said, the items aren't that expensive. Oh, Aiming.
Uh-oh. Well, he is Zeri, so it's going to get out of there, but decent chunk done by Faker, who also has red buff.
But he just got honey fruited. And it's instantly counteracted. Aiming able to heal up there. And we see Carrier playing pretty aggressive, trying to contest his control ward, but won't be able to find it. Showmaker pushing in, potentially setting up for a move if needed. Yeah, ulted just to get vision. And he'll just dip from that. So something burnt from the side of T1, but not really too much of a concern. But now with that down, TB's not available. They feel a lot more comfortable to push up and contest this blue. No one's going to just appear behind them this time.
Yeah. They have learned what the TF does. And, yeah, they get in, they take the blue. I mean, it's just a blue. They are going to get it on a couple of people as Faker actually moves in and takes it down.
And now with that pressure, with the reset from Aiming, they're actually able to get this mid-tier 1. And we kind of saw how much they struggle.
Oh, the handshake. Okay, Lucid denied. Showmaker was coming in from the bottom side as well, but no engage happens.
You know, we heard people, I mean, Carrier heard people big talking Kellen's Renata, and he's like, oh, I can show you some stuff. Pretty slick handshake there to disengage. They get the mid-tier 1, and I feel like that was a big talking point of game 1, was that D+ got that enemy mid-tier 1 so early. And it really hamstrung how much T1 could push up. Now they're the ones who control this game as they need to be, you feel. And Aiming will hit nothing. But a decent attempt. About 2,000 gold lead, Dragon up in about 1:50. And I think this is kind of the game, pace of the game you do want to be setting with T1's composition. But still, we said mistakes will be super costly if T1 end up making any.
Yeah, they definitely will be, and we're still dealing with a very fed Zeri at this point in time, so DK, they are behind. Most of it is in structures, which they can get back. The plates, they can't, obviously. A little setup here from the side of T1, it looks like, but Aiming is just kind of running in between three people.
Wait, he's just dead.
Well, he is Zeri.
Oh, he's just Zeri.
So he's not dead, but yeah, just scouting Zeri, you just send her out, and then if there's anybody there, you get away scot-free, no problem.
I love the champion. So much.
He did have to cleanse.
He did have to cleanse, at least that's something, but nearly in a precarious situation. They're not able to catch him out before he gets over to some terrain. And now it's a resource burn from D+. You could see they were posturing, setting up to try and make a play on Faker, but didn't pay off. But all in all, not a huge takeaway. That cleanse won't be up and available for the fight around Dragon. But I honestly think the cleanse value is significantly lower for aiming this game than the last one. A lot less things you have to cleanse. I guess the Renata ult is probably the big one, where it's kind of hard to avoid, and not being able to cleanse it is very punishing. But things like the handshake, the stun from Zeus, the stun from Ona, you know, realistically, you have a lot of ways to outplay those.
Yeah. TK trying to set up here around this dragon, 15 seconds on it. And they do have vision cryo at this moment in time. There's that one ward right there by aiming.
The thing is, Lucid hasn't fully upgraded his item, but Ona has.
Helen is okay. It's okay. Destiny K comes out and is going to push them back. But maybe T1 just take the Drake from here. It doesn't look like DK are really putting up a big fight on that one.
Yeah, I think Lucid needs to finish his item upgrade before they really get into fights over neutral objectives. Third Dragon going over T1. Nice for them, but it is an Ocean Soul. Not the most impactful Soul. Not as bad as Chemtech, but I think if D+ do end up having to let the Soul go, it's not the end of the world. We obviously saw last game losing the Mountain Soul was a big hit for T1. And now D+ trying to enact that play on the top side, but it's still difficult. Vi and Renekton against a Jax, and they will just take a tower for it instead.
파란 팀의 포탑이 파괴되었습니다.
They get one turret. Game has definitely slowed down from here. You see that both teams just kind of trading objectives, nobody really going for a big fight. Last time we had it was DK up in the top lane, but T1 just said no and ran away, and that was just fine. 1,500 gold lead for the side of T1, but still a very fed Gold King aiming.
Yeah, he just has a way, you know, he's so good at finishing off kills. I feel like there's so many skirmishes, and the thing is, like, obviously sometimes D+ leave it for him, but he just has that execution mindset. Like, oh, wait half a second, there's the kill.
I could not imagine aiming playing any other role.
That is,
you know?
So true.
Like, he is an AD carry player.
Yeah, he's the AD carry player who's like, you know, you get in solo queue who will like ping you back if you walk up the tower when you get plates. In a nutshell.
You start moving towards his wave, he starts pinging you back. It's like, no. That's my wave.
He demands third blue. Like, mid lane is like, no, I need it. He's like, no. It's mine.
T1 are getting a nice little push here. They did get the Rift Herald from earlier. They're going to take the top tier 1, and that's it.
Yeah, not much value from the Rift Herald in the end. We've often seen that. I feel his teams commit pretty heavily getting the Herald and aren't able to get much from it. But I feel like with mid tier 1 already down, it's not a major issue. But just D+ doing a good job of moving members there to defend. Now T1 threatening with this push up here, and they've kind of routed D+ here. Can get some damage on the tower, but don't think they'll be able to take it right now. And it looks like they won't even go for that. D+ able to move over in time.
Yeah. Well, they got another blue.
That's aiming's blue buff.
That's exciting. And in fact, they got 2 blues. One for Owner, one for Zeus.
There's the payoff.
And now we've got aiming going up against Faker in mid. I was wondering about the side lane kind of setups from both teams, because I feel like you really don't want TF into Jax at any time, especially in Showmaker's position.
I think in fairness, Zeus is pretty far behind as well.
Yeah.
Major concern. I will say one thing, they really need Faker to get to his Manamune and get a stack before this dragon. They've got about 2 minutes. The flank engage.
Yeah, they're just sending it. The Viol's right here on Aguma, who's in a lot of trouble, and Lucid is full health. He's able to get away. No, he goes down, actually. And now Guma super low, but it's actually aiming who gets taken out. The flank comes in from the side of DK, and it's going to backfire immediately. King of the Though gonna pull the trigger, takes out the Viego. And now this Krog is pretty huge, but is it going to matter? It doesn't look like it. Showmaker not able to do much. It's a big fight win for the side of T1, as it's only Kellen left, and eventually he will not be left.
He's got Flash, but I don't think that's going to help. Not if you go in that way. I think his goal is just, you should just die.
The turrets.
Oh wait, he can go through those turrets.
Yeah.
Find a lot of time.
You can eat the turret shots. You can
I think, honestly, the play might just be to give the kill over to... No, this is not a play.
They know he's there. I mean,
give the kill to Carrier. You could have just run under the tower and died, and Carrier would have been the only one with credit. But either way, tries to get away, doesn't make it. And this looks, in theory, like a good engage. They focus on Guma, but the turnaround that comes through from the Renata Owner and Guma commit for the reset, and Guma can disengage from the situation, the ult as well from the Calista high value. And Kingen makes a great play here onto Owner. You know, he's trapped as a Zeri until he ults and gets the CC laid onto him. Not a fun time, but ultimately them going in for that play cost them heavily, but I think they were, you know, they were in for a penny, in for a pound. No way to disengage from the situation after that, and they just went for the trade kill. But T1 with a 4,000 gold lead, they needed that early advantage, and now they're looking at an Ocean Soul at about 21 minutes. And D+ are struggling to approach on this one. They might just have to give it up.
Yeah, Ocean Soul still gonna make you feel something. It's not the biggest deal, but I mean, you get it this early on, you're already ahead. It's just gonna help snowball the game. Get your Jax in a good spot. I mean, Zeus picked up a double kill, so he was behind, but I think eventually this Jax is going to be a big problem in the side lane for D+ Kia.
Showmaker does have rapid fire though, and no cleanse on Guma. Maybe they can find an angle for this. Aiming still hits his cleanse, and Showmaker's got Ghost with the spellbook.
Look at the hostile takeover CD as well. You see Carrier desperate to get that one up. It was so valuable in that last fight. And might just end up being a flip here. The Destiny comes in. And yeah, here comes Lucid, but it goes to Renekton. Kingen gonna pick that one up. And that will deny the Ocean Soul.
Just absurd that in a situation with a Kalista and two junglers, the Renekton manages to take the dragon. Some calculations a little bit off, you know, maybe by single digits there. But in the end, D+ deny the soul. They're going to head over to Baron and start it up. T1 know they have to set a pace in this game.
Yeah.
And D+ kind of caught off guard on this, but we'll see if Lucy can pull magic again. No flash available for him.
Yeah, just got to go in with the Q. They don't have much vision. Oh, the hostile takeover catches him. He's too late, and the pull comes back. T1, though, will pick up the Baron.
They don't get their soul they wanted, but they'll get the Baron for Kellen.
Just gonna Valkyrie over the wall.
He's fast enough to get away. And I think T1 wanted to spend a bit of that gold. They've hit some big spikes here, but will look to get as much value as possible out of this Baron push, 5,000 gold ahead. And what health did it go to, and how did Kingen get it?
Nobody knows.
It just didn't even see. It just went from 2,084 to 0.
Just disappeared.
It looked like he altered it at the same time.
It's probably like double smite and rend and, you know, an auto from Renekton. And that's what ended up getting it.
You know, I feel like it's one of those things, you just gotta have faith. Kingen just had faith. He was like, I'm just gonna auto the dragon. Probably was just doing it for the Fury.
No, he knew.
He knew.
100%.
He's like, why not? You know,
calculated. Yeah.
It's like when there's like a raffle going and there's people who buy like hundreds of tickets and you're like, I'll buy one. You know, I'll give it a go. Oh,
this'll work. Yeah.
You know, it's that easy.
Yeah.
Just have a winner's mindset.
So we've seen a lot of teams get caught in this part of the jungle, but Carrier will be smart about it. Aiming did kind of give away the position, but that's fine. Doesn't look like DK necessarily want to fight unless it's really on their terms here. Up against the Baron, as T1 are trying to push the top lane now. Owner a little bit behind the play, but now Kingen is going to be spotted by Owner, and Kingen is forced into the fight. TP coming in from Faker, but Owner is all alone. The Viald comes in with the flash, and Owner's just dead. Meanwhile now, the Lulu ultimate comes in, saves Showmaker, as we're getting pretty down and dirty with this one, I think, as now 5v4 here for the side of DK. As the gold card will come in on a Faker, a bit of damage into Lucid. He's chunked out in an insane way. And now Showmaker just gonna ult away. Rest of the team trying to fight here. Aiming just gonna get dunked on by the Jax. And not even Redemption will help him. Looks like Kellen, similar spot. Should be going down here eventually, you would imagine. Oh, the TP is going to deny it. And C1, wonky fight, but they will win it.
Felt like Zeus is hunting still. Can he find him?
Yes.
Yes. The answer is yes. Not sure you have an answer to this one, Kellen. He's accepting his fate. But Zeus is stalling out the respawn for a little bit longer.
Carrier kind of alone, but he does have his team coming on in with the TP. Lucid now is kind of alone, and he's now very alone in the Death Chamber. Actually, he's there with his buddies Renekton and Lulu. The C1 have really ripped this game open.
Yeah, just on the back of a few pretty fantastic plays, we've seen T1 really take control of this. There is Showmaker looking for an angle onto Faker. Faker is on vision, but he will scry an orb. You will see Showmaker coming. And in the meantime, T1 are making some headway bot lane. So maybe D+ probably want to defend this.
You know, I think that would probably be a good idea. T1 doesn't seem to care about the Renekton, who is alone, and do a ton of damage to him. But now TP is coming in, aiming, trying to have a little Zeri moments here at the end of this one as Guma is going to get knocked up. But there's the bailout. The Rend gets the kill, but down will go the Kalista anyway, as they're still pushing forward. It's an extra kill onto Kellen, and they're looking for a bit more. This Jax is huge, and so is the Viego. 5-0-4 right now for Zeus, and the game might just be over.
Yeah, it looks like the Jax nerfs didn't do anything to him. He has just been popping off after the laning phase in this one. Quiet game one, but he's found some momentum in this. I think, though, T1 not going to be able to end here. They're going to back off and look for Soul again. Maybe take a mid inhibitor turret, you know, on the way out. Why not? You know,
sure.
Treat yourself. But we'll exit now and look towards that Ocean Soul. And just T1, you know, they had a lead. D+ trying to fight back, and it just felt like play after play after play. T1 finding favor. See this replay. So Ona ends up getting into the scrap with Kingen, which is a little bit risky, but he's playing Viego. He's like, I'm safe, you know, I have ult, I have flash. But Lucid actually ults and then flashes to close the distance, so he can't ult in time. Catches him off guard with that, so he doesn't have time to ult out. Really nice play from Lucid, and it gives them a lot of confidence to start things off, but Zeus just has a killer instinct for aiming in particular.
왼쪽 볼게 살짝 봐줘.
He's like, let's
얘 잡았어.
go left, go for this.
야 끌었다. 와.
Oh man,
열심히 찾아.
Kellen did King and Dirty there, I think is all you can say. The unintentional play of the game from Zeus.
And then we had this fight, and Guma, you know, he goes in, he gets the kill, and yes, he dies, but then Zeus is just in perfect position.
Yeah, we're so close to the bailout though there from Guma. It just kind of shows why this Kalista Renata has been so threatening, but D+ just not able to do enough. 10,000 gold down, Ocean Soul secured for T1, and they are pushing.
King just not here as well, and the damage from Faker is huge. Redemption utilized, but you've lost all 3 inhibitors, and it's going to be a very long while before they get those back as well. So just now sieging up in the base. They don't even need the Baron. Here comes a massive knockup, though, as DK trying to fight back. The cleanse comes in for aiming as he tries to carry this fight, but man, they're just so far ahead. The wallets are so heavy for the side of T1 that it doesn't seem to matter.
The Ocean Soul going to heal them up as well. If it wasn't a 10k gold lead, that would have been a sick play, but I don't think it's enough right now. T1 just looking to end.
Doesn't look very likely. Aiming's kind of got to do it all by himself here, but the damage is being layered in. As a nice polymorph from Kellen, but that's just about it. As now Guma flashing forward. They will play with their food, they say, and they will take game number 2 and tie things up against T+Kia in the series.
And a big bounce back for T1. I think it's very clear that when they have this advantage in the bot lane, they can play around night and day, really. And they are so capable of setting a pace to the game that teams just can't match. You know, Gen G, obviously, a great example of a team who could really shut down what T1 want to do. But D+, they had attempts. And I think the concept of the attempts was good, but they just couldn't find the execution in the moment. That being said, they equalized series, but they are now giving side selection over to D+. So a good start from T1, but there's more to be done in this series.
Series ain't over, and yeah, I mean, this game was at least pretty one-sided to the side of T1, so hopefully they can build upon this and have some confidence moving over to the red side. You know, as we said at the top of the day, maybe they just get a really strong bottom lane for Guma and Keria in the counter pick on that side, as this time they went for Kalista Renata, and it worked out in a big way.
And I think as well, the fact that they left the Vi open, they didn't even end up picking the Poppy, it got banned away, and they won against it, takes off a lot of pressure, because teams have just been fixed on banning the Vi, and they got away with leaving it open.
Yeah, the Vi and the Lee Sin, which T1 are like, Lee Sin, whatever. That's game number 2 going the way of T1. We are going to take a quick break and have the space. We'll be right back.
무리 안 해도 돼. 무리하지 마.
볼컵 빠졌고.
얘네가 실수하는 거 받아 먹어.
얘네가 걸 거야.
얘네 한번 끌었고.
레넥 봐볼게, 레넥.
네네네네. 천천히. 앞라인부터 맞아. 앞라인. 네네네네.
레넥. 나 가인이야.
저도 좋아. 뺄게.
천천히.
미드라인 해봐.
데리고
미드
꺼졌어.
바텀.
데리고 꺼졌어.
아, 얘 정화 있지?
바텀 라클 해줘.
없다 그랬던 것 같아.
있어. 돌았어.
있어.
바텀 라인 왔어. 타워 먼저. 타워.
시걸 거지?
들어가도 돼, 가도 돼.
바이.
스페.
못 걸쳤어.
오, 쉣.
내리.
잡아야 돼.
다 왔어. 나이스.
Being in a lane swap situation and still getting so much value in team fights is always massive for me. But now we have the situation going into game 3. D+ got side select. It's an even series, one game to decide it, and they have the edge of blue side. We'll see what they're able to do on the back of this. You know, we know for a fact T1 are going to have to ban LeBlanc and Ezreal. What else, right? There's Ashe,
Rumble.
there's Rumble. They're going to ban the Rumble, so is it going to be Rumble, LeBlanc, Ezreal? Or are they going to give one of those up to maybe ban something else? Aiming has had a good game on Ashe this season. Even though it's not a champion you typically associate with this, I feel like his play on immobile 80 carries has improved substantially from what we've seen recently at least. Whereas inside of D+, you could honestly really just target bans. I mean, the Callisto is a complete no-brainer. You could even ban the Corki. Like, Showmaker's been having a rough time in lane. Or you could just first pick the Corki. That's the beauty of blue side.
The world is your oyster when you're on the blue side. And there's the Ezreal ban, so, you know, it kind of leaves the question. Are you going to leave the Ashe available? Are you going to leave the LeBlanc available? You have to do one of those.
I think banning the Corki makes sense. Showmaker, it hasn't been his forte to lean on those 80 carries mid. And T1, I think you're going to have to ban LeBlanc in this situation. We'll see if they opt to do that or lean in a different direction.
Maybe just leave both up and you say, okay, they'll first pick LeBlanc, and nope. They're just going to say, okay, aiming, if you want to play Ashe, go ahead.
Yep, going to be locked in almost immediately. And we've seen Ashe really powerful when paired with picks like the Sejuani. Has been a strong duo with it. So maybe the T1 go the Renekton themselves here. I think Kingan's laning has been really solid on it so far. But it doesn't really feel like a Zeus move just to early lock the Renekton.
Owner looks very resigned to his fate, which, no, actually?
Yep, I think the Vi value
The
is
Vi.
massive. You deny it from Lucid, you are playing Vi into Ashe, which feels pretty good overall. And you could just pair it with Talia if you wanted to. You could just pick a top laner here. You could just pick an 80 carry here. You know you're playing into Ashe. A lot of options available for T1. Don't really have to show your cards yet. But especially with all the mid lane bans, getting like Vi Talia at this point would be pretty strong. We've also seen like Vi Ahri be very popular recently. Vi Jhin, not on the forefront of my mind.
Jhin? I mean, okay, Guma's great at it. He wants a good matchup in Ashe, and he's going to pick it very early. My surprise comes from that it comes this early, but I guess they expect a ban on it in the second phase, so they're going to take it now. But very high prio. And the Sejuani with the Ashe, I thought maybe they would take this away, but they didn't want to deal with Lucid's Vi, so they take the Vi away. But now we got Sejuani Ashe here for DK.
Yeah, and maybe just the Renekton for Kingan on 3 pairs well with the Sejuani. We'll see if they lean in that direction again. But actually looking like they want to secure a pick for Showmaker. Still trying to decide, and they go for the Renata. We've seen Ashe Renata be really strong. Limits the ability for Carrier to play an engage pick into that as a result. Like, you really want to be playing like a ranged harass champion. You know, Jhin Karma used to be a lane years ago. That could work into it. We'll see what Carrier... I mean, it is Carrier. He is known to bring out some definitely versatile
Jhin
picks.
Yumi. Sorry.
No,
I mean, you know.
But I think maybe we'll go for a pick.
It's not going to be Yumi, but it will be an enchanter.
They will go to Karma. So yeah, Jhin Karma used to be a very powerful lane some years ago. Still is. And it's actually going to be a rough time for D+ in the bot lane. He has to play Karma.
Maybe he wanted to play Bard. I think, didn't the T1 skins just get released like last night?
Yeah, I don't
the
think,
World skins?
I don't think on this patch though yet.
No, not on this patch, but you know, it just released.
I mean, Bard is good into Ashe, but this, to me, like, you trade fine as Jhin Bard into Ashe Renata, but as Jhin Karma, you should just stomp this lane. And we've seen T1's winning strategy into D+ is to just stomp the lane. Renekton getting banned, that is no surprise. Kingen will have to move on to a different pick and won't get that synergy with the Sejuani. And D+, you know, could be concerned about things like the Kennen, like the Gnar that we've seen Zeus bring out. Even the Talia ban could be pretty good from D+ as well. Pairing well with the Vi. We haven't seen her looking on the Ahri either.
Yeah, I am very curious about what Faker's going to play because it's been a lot of Corki, a lot of Azir. Tristana before that. There hasn't been that much variety in Faker's champion pool this season.
Yeah, Showmaker's been the one who showed variety, and Faker's being like, I'm going to play the OP stuff. And they banned Talia. Pretty interesting.
He's playing Ahri, I guess?
Perhaps, you know. Although I feel like that matchup is very playable for Ahri. We'll see. D+ might just throw another pan towards top lane in this situation if they are concerned about the Gnar. But then again, maybe they want like T1 to pick mid on 4 and then they pick Gnar. But I think it's so risky against Zeus. He is the sort of player who'll just bring out strong counter picks. They actually go for the Orianna ban. We did say BDD play this to great effect. But I don't think an Ahri pick is very much a surprise. Great dive, buddy, with the Vi. And, you know, Karma can shield you all up. Jhin can ult for the backline. You can understand how this comp wants to play. And D+ comp so far is very much, we're going to kite back and play Peel for our Ashe. So with that in mind, you know, the TF could make sense and lean to that play style if that's something they want to bring out. Point-and-click CC, definitely high value.
Yeah, it's mid and top. There's that Gnar blind you were saying. And they do get it. And I feel like Kingen's Gnar has been pretty strong so far this season, so I feel like he'll be very happy to get that.
Would it be crazy to even say something like a Sylas? We've seen Sylas Ahri so many times, some good ults to steal.
Look at his face. He might do it.
They've left this pick till the last minute.
Maokai mid. Oh, Ox with the soul read.
And now, Zeus is undoubtedly going to take a top laner who's going to bully the Gnar. We'll see what they opt to go for. Look at the chef we haven't seen for a while. The Yone would be sick, but I feel like it's probably going to be a ranged pick. Just to have a really stable, safe laning phase. It's been Zeus' hallmark recently.
Play Draven.
Oh, oh, this is sick actually if they go to Camille. You know, Camille, no, we've talked about this being a good matchup for Camille, but it's been such a long time since it's been consistently picked. But the dive threat from Camille via Ahri, the Jhin over the top, aiming's going to have a rough time. And yet, you look at the composition, right? You have the lockdown for the top side, a lot of CC, a lot of bruiser bulk, and then you have the Renata to peel for aiming. This is a protect the president composition against a composition for T1 that is designed to kill aiming.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how they balance against each other.
It's funny, Amy has done a really good job of making himself the president. Almost by force. He's like, no, I am the president.
No, I don't think president does it justice. You got to remember, he is the gold king. He is royalty, not just a democratically elected leader.
Yeah.
He said, I am the king. It's my birthright. Give me all your gold to protect me.
I guess if you do take it by force, well, not much of a president. Enough about that. As this says, are we losing today? Win. We're winning. He's holding a sign that says, no, we win.
And that's the hope. You know, I feel like
simple.
Both teams, massive fan bases. The crowd has been going pretty crazy so far. Crying fans already, and the series hasn't even finished.
After game 1.
Yep. So I definitely expect some waterworks after the result of game 3. Either way, this would be a huge win for T1 to climb their way up the ladder. D+ trying to hold on to a really strong season so far.
Well, that's a lot of dive and pick. We'll see if it works for T1 here as we hop into the rift for game number 3.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
And how about a little vision denial from Jonah Strong? All 5 members here down on the bottom side for DK. What are we running into?
I like how he keeps us on our toes as much as the players are, you know?
Yeah.
We don't get that observer vision, that safety. You gotta live in the eyes of the players.
Yeah, I think some of our viewers need that reminder from time to time. Because sometimes when you have the full vision, some players can look very silly doing things without vision. But you got to realize, playing a game of League of Legends, there's fog of war.
Yeah, I feel like there's scenarios where it's like jaws looming and you see someone coming from the fog of war. And it's like, there are obvious ones, sure, but also it's so different, obviously, having your own perspective and having to deal with things. You know, if a Camille just flies out of a brush and you have 0.2 seconds to react.
Why didn't he flash it? God.
God, when I slow this down to 0.25 times and replay it and watch the play, it looks so easy to flash.
With vision.
With vision. Yeah.
Just the reminder every once in a while. I think Jenna Strong is, and our entire observing team, by the way. We had Kisan on the space with us last week. Shout out to him as well. They do a fantastic job. They're pretty much perfect. And, well, there's a lot of tension down here on the bottom side. Looks like Aiming and Kellen will get the push, but some extra poke from the Karma.
Yeah, it's so difficult playing the Renata in a Karma, because obviously Renata's still good at dealing threats coming into her. If you find a handshake, that can be powerful for the Renata, but in terms of general trading power, really hard to
Tempo heal, but Guma, he moves up for level 2. He's going to have to flash, and Aiming, he's just going to barrier nothing, just to make sure, as he thought maybe he would be rooted up there.
Zoning barrier.
Zoning barrier pushes them away.
And you know, I feel like T1 not fully respecting the power of the level 1 of the Ash. The level 2 gets hit first by Kellen, and able to be in some big sums on the back of it. It's like Aiming and Kellen doing a pretty good job, all things considered.
Yeah, it's just such an important lane to level 2 in. And we do have Owner moving in. Lucid should be on vision here, so Owner's going to wrap around.
Oh, very sneaky.
Vi is very good in the 1v1 here. And he's got red buff as well. So Lucid, kind of an awkward spot for him, as another hit is going to come in. And thankfully, he's got that disengage cone to deny us from any fun.
And you know, this is one of those situations where D+'s bot lane have Prio. And yes, Prio is better for them to move first. But it also means they're deep in the lane, and it's going to take them a while to get there. So Lucid just has to dip. And his bot lane really don't want to give up the pressure right now. Owner will secure the red buff, so a bit of an advantage found there. He has 3 camps he can pick up on his blue side still.
Lucid's just going to go bot. Just hang around here, maybe find another Vi. Same Vi as the one from before, funnily enough. And Owner's just going to say no. You will not get the Scuttle Crab. You are level 3. You do not pass go. You do not collect $200.
And in these sort of situations, there's not really been given a window to gank bot lane. Guma and Carrier playing really far back. So you don't have much options. When you're being denied camps and you have no camp spawning, the best thing is to gank, but it becomes very telegraphed. And the wave is slowly pushing in, so Guma's like, whatever, I'll just recall, get some mana back. Mid lane so far going in favor of Faker. But it is Doran's shield on Silas. He does have a lot of heal in his kit, so Showmaker just kind of weathering the storm for now is what he's going to try and do. Yeah.
We've got Wolf on the space. I feel like he's definitely talking about the electrocute. We don't see it all the time, but he's very excited about the electrocute buffs. And Silas, you see, Showmaker did go for it here, so he is going to be looking to absolutely look to burst Faker down, but, well, he's there somewhere. I think those are his hands. I see a very comfy Degon. Yep, see the hands.
Little wave.
That's definitely him.
Yeah, I think the thing is, though, if you're playing into the Ahri, it's significantly easier for the Ahri just to consistently electrocute proc onto the Silas than it is for the Silas to proc it back. So, not the most fun in the early game playing that range versus melee. And it's not like a Yone who fully invests into sustain with like Doran shield, second wind, and fleet footwork. What are we? Uh-oh.
I'm like, what are we zooming in on here? There's Sejuani's in the enemy jungle. Yeah, it's just he took the Krugs.
Yeah, and we just saw a little how the matchup between Na and Camille has gone both ways and a lot. You know, 25 to 23. Not a lot of matchups that have that many numbers between them.
Yeah, there was a time where when Camille first came out, I'm sure you remember Ox. She was extremely strong, and she was playable in the jungle. It was a fun time. We saw a lot of Camille, and Nara's kind of just been in and out of the meta, mostly in for nearly his entire career as a champion.
I think everyone enjoyed that meta, you know, when a champion who was super mobile had a Cho'Gath ult on a 3-second cooldown.
Yeah. It's my favorite meta. Callan was roaming up the river little bit of show of dominance from the bottom lane.
Honestly, T1 bot lane not doing as well in this matchup. I think the early trading, the loss of summoners kind of hindering them. Oh, nice interrupt there from Lucid.
Yeah, Lucid's up a level, so you can see he's definitely feeling pretty comfortable, especially because of his bot lane situation, but it actually does get pushed into them. Also, his mid lane is kind of not great here. Showmaker, yes, he does pick up the Silas, but this landing phase is rough.
Yeah.
Really rough.
Definitely playing for the skirmishes more so, and T1 just going to look to pick up this dragon early. Showmaker's about half HP, so even though he's coming over, I think they feel confident they can get this and disengage.
He's going to get into the pit as now the engage comes in as that frontline owner very low, and he will eventually go down as they have to go super deep for this one. Showmaker, though, so tanky, will live throughout it all, flashes away, and DK get the Drake as well, but the chase is on. Guma looking for more. Kellen in a lot of trouble. He's just going to sacrifice himself for the trade. But DK, they get first blood and the Drake, so they should be happy with that.
Then they can be happy with that one, and they just dove straight in on an owner, eliminated him from the play. The power, we finally get to see a melee champ with Sejuani, who's good at proccing a passive. I feel like so many games we've just had all ranged for Sejuani. And you see the difference here Showmaker makes in locking down owner. He will head immediately off respawn towards those grubs. Didn't get a dragon, will take those.
Well, Lucid's here, by the way. He's level 6 Sejuani. He's going to take a big burst, actually. As man, if that was like a Mantra Q, maybe we're getting close. I think Lucid was probably fine anyway.
Yeah, I think it was okay. I do think we learned that. Oh.
That was point blank. I do not know how that missed. Good job by Guma, I guess, to sidestep that one.
Yeah, I think Guma boots of swiftness, and he also got the fleet footwork proc, I believe.
Yeah.
But quick moves, honestly. I think a lot of players would have had to ban flash there. I don't even think it was a bad attempt from aiming, just I guess Guma is that guy.
He's just that fast. That is the power of Jhin. Very, very fast.
Too fast.
Said before. Owner is taking the blue buff. And he will definitely get it, right?
Definitely, kind of, probably, maybe get it.
Okay, well, he has to smite it now. Okay, there it is. And Lucid will spot the controller.
Lucid didn't see the whole fiasco with the aggro, only we did. So Lucid's like, oh, wow, really smart. He came in and stole my blue. Nothing went wrong. And we're like,
yeah. Wow, Owner's really respectable and is a great jungler and never messes anything up.
I know, and it's like, hee hee. Oopsie daisy. It's fine. He got out. This is like the most, I feel like that ward is such a common one for TPs, but D+ just immediately sweep it out like, nah, none of that.
Yeah. This is Mega Gnar, so I'm just poking him down a little bit. Yeah.
Wow.
Huge damage. Meanwhile, nobody's bought, so
yeah.
Some plates.
This is a viewpoint play, and the thing is, Showmaker's low on health, but it's a Silas, and he's not that low. He finds his angle, follows up with Lucid, and with the Ariel as well, the chain CC is just so hard to deal with. And then the disengage there. I think Showmaker might have died, but Guma had to reload at one point. Really unfortunate.
Yeah, he sees reloading here.
Kellen finds his call and he's like, I'll clear the control ward, that's what I'll do. But doesn't get there in time, sadly. His inner support, just like, I have to do it.
Yep. Well, we're trading plates here. Meanwhile, Zeus is mid. He's like, no, there's no point for me to be bought. Here comes an arrow. That is going to hit Faker here in mid, who is in a lot of trouble. Oh, he threads the needle, but Faker, he gets stuff and he's still alive, and they turn it around. It's a 3v2, and that's a couple of kills for T1. You see Lucid very unhappy. Owner is, well, he's Wait, how's alive? Wait, what? How did Kingdom not kill him?
Such a frustrating play for D+ there. That looked like, by all accounts, that was a winning play. Everything landed. Everything. And yet they end up losing out T1 with a miracle defense of Faker. Come in clutch there. I feel like it's hard to fault D+. Like, I think this was a good play, but just T1 played it better. The ult comes down on a Faker. They commit heavily. The fact that this stun lands, beautiful from Showmaker. But the charm from Faker on the retreat stops Showmaker from pressing ult. They kill off Lucid, and then Kellen gets him under the tower. The charm again. Man, Faker getting some humongous value there.
Yeah. And it's funny too, he's just sitting on, he had only Malignance and a Doran's Ring. And he's like, no, I'm just rushing this item. I'm totally fine. No boots needed. He does get it now. He's got a Dark Seal. But yeah, just insane value.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You have great setup with a Camille and a Vi when it comes to the Ahri. We talked about how strong that's going to be. But if you can just blind fire, hit the charms on your own, then, you know, you're just going to carry the game. That's how it works.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when Ahri first got changed, when it was like, okay, when you get a shutdown, might have to hold that thought as Guma is being slowed up here by the Ashe. He does have Cleanse, and he will utilize it to get away. Little Root comes in, Lucid in the vicinity. Now, the curtains will be called, and they will push DK all the way back to their turret. As trying to throw an ult here is Lucid, not going to hit anyone, and DK will be funneled underneath their turret.
Yeah, a bit of a scrappy play there. T1 trying to find an angle. You can see with the ult from Jhin opening up, they get a pretty big advantage. They will pick up a plate there as well, and D+ just kind of trapped under the tower. Ona going to start up the dragon. Vi pretty fast at taking this down. Poke doesn't connect there from Kerry, and Kerry actually low on mana, so maybe becomes a
Ooh, that fourth shot. Kellen is really playing with fire. Has to throw out the heal earlier, so he didn't have it. And they're just going to give up that Drake over to the side.
Oh, he tries to go. He was going to go for the long-range boomerang where it like goes behind you.
Yeah.
That's a cute attempt.
Infernal Soul
Is a big one. A lot of squishy members, I feel like, who both sides really would want to take out. I mean, Ashe is so good with Infernal Soul, you can proc it so easily. But you can see how both teams have these really aggressive dives just to take out key targets, and the Infernal Soul going to make that a lot more explosive.
That it does. And we got Ox's favorite minigame, the Cinders.
Oh, I love this, man.
We'll see who gets the most Cinders.
And I feel like
Kellen's got 3.
It's kind of underrated, especially champions like Silas or Ahri, even like a Karma as well. If you have like an Undying game on Karma and you get like 50 Cinders, like ability haste is so broken with that champion. I feel like it's one of those things where it's fun, you know, but the actual impact is massive.
Yeah, it is huge. I mean, as long as you can hold on to them, especially as Jhin. All right, that's a 4th grub for T1, just like that. No committal, just long range.
Just trust in the steal, apparently. You know, we've seen some steals today. The Renekton Dragon steal with the auto was a pretty wild one.
The Maokai
that was
flash twisted advance past the Poppy.
That was a pretty good one, yeah. It's been a day of steals. Definitely this T1 D+ series delivered there. And Zeus has had a really good read this game on, okay, we're not contesting on that side of the map. I'm just going to kill towers with my buddies.
Honestly, sounds pretty fun. I mean, anything you're doing with your buddies, generally a fun time. And we do have Faker trying to look for the play. That's another charm to land, but he is alone. And the handshake, Kellen says, sit down. No ulting in my face. And now we have a Jhin, and aiming is just, well, maybe dead. Trying to get the shutdown here to Honor. Yeah, he's dead. In the front line there is Ashe. Not great, but now we got an R into the wall. And another handshake, and this time it's a root onto Sejuani. That's a double kill for Guma, who has insane value in this game on the Jhin. That's a 3rd one for the side of T1. And T1 will continue to push.
Zeus still looking for more, though. The root doesn't connect this time. And Zeus doing a lot of work with his Camille, but T1 in total, making it work, even though Kellen had that masterful play. It backfires for D+, and it's now almost a 4,000 gold lead in the game. T1 firmly in control. And we'll see Faker, he goes to the ult, and watch all the D+. They're waiting, they're like, okay, what's he gonna do? And as soon as he goes in again, they start hitting him. A great handshake from Kellen, honestly massive. But this root from Guma, I feel like the high ground, it made it hard to see there that it was coming, but either way, they catch aiming out, Aim has to sacrifice himself trying to get the trade. And then they focus so much onto Zeus, but they burn those cooldowns, and Zeus is like, okay, well now it's my turn. Ult Showmaker as well knows that Lucid is going to die, so it doesn't burn the ult on him. Gets Showmaker too, baits him in, just really nicely played. Now D+ trying to set up this Herald, but T1 have so many engage tools. If they want to fight, they'll take it.
All right, comes down to Silas getting that one, as now Lucid in a lot of trouble. Isn't really that tanky just yet. Another huge handshake, man. Kellen is just not missing. after a couple of weaker games, he is coming up big in Game 3 as here comes the Silas. I feel like Guma also is getting huge value on the Sin. Here comes the ult. It's going to hit Faker. He's in a lot of trouble up against that Meganar, and DK turning it back in their favor.
Can Kellen miss? Honestly, this guy is so insane on this champion, I feel. We know why teams have been respecting it, but he's just putting on a masterclass. He saw Carry in Game 2 and said, I'll do better. And he's really putting in the effort now. Herald comes down mid, won't take the tower, but D+, just when the game starts to feel like it's leaving their grasp, the 4K gold deficit reduced to 2,000. We see it in this play. They go for a focus on a Lucid, but he's just a bit too tanky right now. The damage isn't quite there. It's close, but he flashes out, and then the handshake catches Carrier. He's deleted. The karma value is gone. Showmaker just tries to get the heal off the W, pushes forward, and then Kellen again. We first get this ult on a Faker that kills him, and then Kellen gets the cleanse from Guma. Just Sum's being burnt across the game, and cleanse is so high value when there's a Sejuani and an Ashe and that Renata Glask on the other team.
Yeah, he does have to burn his flash to make that play, but he's going to take that trade 100% of the time for the enemy ADC cleanse, especially because Guma has just been getting, again, as I mentioned, so much value here on this Jhin, just kind of ignored in a lot of fights and just sitting back and firing. He's got plenty of time to reload, actually. He doesn't really care about that mechanic.
It looks like D+ still conscious that they're at a deficit. It's about 2,500 gold. They know the threat of T1's compositions. They're not going to contest them on this dragon. It's just the second one. They're fine with that. But they are going to push in and get some vision around this topside jungle. You see Faker playing very defensively, trying to sweep things out.
Kellen nearby, but he's not going to face check that one. Has a ward down. And Faker, yep, he's just going to clear out this wave. So T1 definitely solidifying their lead, taking the Infernal Drake. He might actually throw an ult in here. That's going to get a flash at Zeus. Having King nearby with Meganar about to pop, it's just enough of a threat.
Again, the flash from Camille pretty big. You know, a lot of summoners were burnt in that last fight. So if we do have one breaking out, could end up being impactful. You can see a ward placed down here by Carrier. We'll spot Kellen and aiming moving up. Faker should just be safe to take this tower. Another one in the bag for T1. Just pushing that gold little bit by a little bit more in their favor. It's not an insurmountable lead by any means, but I feel like against a composition like T1's, if they do have an advantage, it can feel so punishing just because they can really start fights at a whim.
Yeah, they absolutely can. And DK, you see Lucid is coming on over here. He doesn't have his ult yet, but just the presence is enough. Zeus has to back away. They trade turrets. And we're just stuck in here with T1 about 3,000 gold ahead. Waiting for the next objective to spawn. Side lane, I feel like, is going to be pretty interesting. Kingen does have a nice lead there, and it's been a lot of focus from the side of Lucid, but we know what Camille can do, especially once he gets 3-4 items if the game does go long enough.
Yeah, I think as well, something to be careful of is you could definitely see T1 going for like the 2 side laners, kill someone, and then TP back in. You know, Zeus can easily lock down a mini-Gnar. Faker can easily set up a charm. You kill Kingen, and then if D+ try and stop Baron, you can just both TP there. So I think it's something you have to be conscious of if you don't see Faker on the map. But even if you do, he can just TP down to assist for that. And then if Zeus TPs to the fight, it's a 4v4. Oh, just as I was talking about him needing to be cautious.
Where is Owner? The big question. Well, he's behind Kingen. Kingen about to show. There it is.
They've seen him.
Stops the back. Here comes Lucid. But that is Camille. I mean, you can't get away from this. It's just Mini-Gnar, and he is very far away from the Mega. He's just dead. Arrow is going to hit. And nope, TP is coming in. I think DK just have to get out of there. Lucid's like, okay, never mind. Just going to take the Cinder and run away. But the ability to close the gap here from T1 is huge. The ult is going to miss, and another handshake is going to hit the front line. And this Renata gets so much value when everybody lines up for it. And T1 just don't have the chase ability after the fact. And they don't want to go into that choke.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a beautiful play from D+. T1 get the setup, they get the Gnar, but they chase into this choke, and the disengage and peel of D+ is so powerful. T1 needs flank angles. This is exactly what happens if you run straight towards them. The value of the Renata absolutely massive. And in the end, a good setup from T1 ends up being a 1-for-1 trade, and especially since D+ are in a deficit, they'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah. Lucid, by the way, sitting on 16 Cinders. So already beginning to enjoy that. I feel like as Sejuani, you're generally pretty tanky, but you go Zeke's first, you're not hugely tanky early on, so we'll see how long he can hold on to that.
Yeah, and this initial play, really nice, and I think you could honestly be happy with it and just disengage in the situation. You see the arrow hits, and that's when they're like, okay, we
got a fight in live. That is a caught Keria. That's just Karma, who, when she's caught, she just kind of dies.
I thought you were saying that's Karma from getting POG game 2. D+ for punishment, you know.
Punished. 100%.
Yeah, so we'll just find him in the jungle, and the power of this Silas Sejuani, we've seen it, little bits of it throughout this game, but you can see how effective it can be if they lock someone down. The layering of CC between the knock-up, the Silas stun, and then obviously the Sejuani passive. Didn't even need the ult. And it is very hard for D+ to approach now. Vision getting cleared out. Looking for angles, and they still have that Ash arrow. If someone steps up, if someone's in the wrong position, it's an easy pick for D+.
Yeah. Like that T1 stay calm, but this is how Keria gets caught here, just trying to get Baron Vision.
The problem he had here is he didn't wait for Ona, and he also was concerned that Baron was being done, so he ran for the deep vision. He was like, I need to get a ward on Baron now. I can't safely move up and push Vision forwards. I don't have my jungler to back me. And so as a result, you know, if they'd been on Baron, that would have been 100% the right play. But I don't know if you know this, Keria can't see everything we can.
Yeah, looks very silly when we see, you know, DK closing in on him as he's sprinting towards the Baron pit where nobody's doing anything. T1 trying to get in here on the second Infernal Drake of the game. That would give them Infernal Soul point. And as DK, you kind of have to deny this one if you can.
Yeah, no.
Charm gonna miss. Faker in a bit of trouble. Does? Okay, he's fine actually. Just gonna Spirit Rush away. But now he's on the opposite side of the fight. So yes, he's okay and he will live, but can T1 actually fight this one? As might just come down to a flip, and Oner is going to steal it away, but now Faker! Oh, he's gonna get away with the Dar into the wall. Down he goes as DK finally closes the gap, but now very low health bars here on the side of DK. In goes Zeus, and he just murders Showmaker. Down he will go, and Zeus is totally fine. They get in that back line. The Vi is able to lock down aiming, but he gets the reset. But look at the health bars and the chase potential of T1. They shut it down in a big way.
D+ not able to disengage. The Jin'll value is massive. And Guma's look at the fourth shot. He gets it in the bag. Dragon secured. Team fight win. Zeus going to TP in for the Baron. And T1 getting everything they asked for out of this fight. We'll see the replay. You know, they force Faker's ult early, which is pretty nice because it means it's going to time out if the play goes long. So T1 are rushing the Dragon here. The Mega's ready. It comes down to just a smite flip, and Ona able to secure it. And then they all jump on a Faker, but he lives for so long. They commit this, but Ona flashes out, and now everyone got so low from this damage. You can see Keria just firing Mantra Qs in, and the Renata ult so slow to interrupt the Jhin. Zeus kites away on low health. They get into aiming, and everyone ends up so low. He gets the reset from Renata, but look how low he is. He tries to kill Zeus, he can't. And Guma's just free hitting him and Keria. Doing so much work in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, Jhin, who's also got speed ups from Karma, who is this fed. And by the way, Keria went Mikhail's first. Now he's got Cerelius as well. So nobody's getting away from the Jhin. And in general, yeah, okay, Jhin, you know, we're not so sure. But in this case, he's 5-0-4. He's got LDR finished.
He's doing damage.
He is going to kill anything that comes in his way.
Yeah, no Mountain Soul near the team for him to contest with.
It's like 1.5 tanks.
Yeah.
It's not much. Feels pretty good for Jhin.
A lot of damage. And I think as well, particularly against the likes of a Silas, the fourth shot, very nice just to be like, okay, you're dying to this. Because it can be quite fiddly if he lives through the amount of burst your team has.
It's like the damage version of Malzahar ult. It's like, you are staying here. Or in this case, you are just dying before you can, you know, get a bunch of sustain in, stick around, throw Zhonya's in. Savai ult stolen. So they are very far behind at this point. I mean, 5,000 gold behind is DK, and T1 still have this Red Bull Baron power play ticking and are trying to get as much value out of it. They also did, of course, get that Infernal Drake, so Infernal Soul point. And their comp really just works all on the same page, you know?
Yep.
Like, everybody, if they call a target, they can just go in.
A lot of dive potential, and we've seen the follow-up work, so D+ definitely on the defensive right now. They've about a minute 15 left of the Baron, and then it will be that soul fight. I will say, not an easy composition to dive on a tower when it comes to D+'s, so T1 are trying to just make some headway, but it's a bit of a struggle so far.
Yeah. Just trying to find the right lane to do it. And
They're starting to move towards top, but I feel like, you know, they can lean in on this wave here.
DK are just going to get the mid-tier 1.
This is a fine trade for D+.
Objective
honestly.
bounty.
Yeah. I think they're happy with this. The enemy team has Baron and trading is good. Now, it feels less good if you lose this inhibitor tower, which they might. The ult comes in.
Oh, the arrow, it's going to immediately get McHale's, but the front line here, Zeus, surprisingly tanky. He's got a lot of shielding, too, from the Karma, who's had a good game, obviously. And at the end of the day, though, I mean, T1, they don't even get a bit of damage on the inhibitor turret.
Yeah.
So they're still ahead. They're still in a fun spot, but it feels like kind of a lackluster Baron play.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the value wasn't massively there. You can see the gold they gained from it as well. I mean, the thing is, they won the fight before the Baron, but the gold they got after wasn't really that significant compared to just the gold you get from the Baron itself. Aiming still on top of gold. He is the Gold King. That is no surprise.
Yep.
But Showmaker, you know, the silence that came out has been pretty cool. There have been some moments, but it's been relatively quiet altogether. And it's still a 5,000 gold deficit. 40 seconds until Infernal Soul.
Yeah.
That burst damage very severe. And D+ have to find a way to navigate this from a deficit. I will say, if you look at the inventories of T1, Guma close to an IE, but not there yet. Zeus close to a GA, not there yet. There's a lot of big breakpoints T1 are about to hit, but they haven't. And I think because of that, D+ have maybe a little bit of a better chance than the gold suggests, but definitely still in a deficit.
Yeah, and it might just come down to how this is engaged. It looks like Zeus is out here. As, of course, we had the information that that recall was about to finish.
Got the GA as well. That's actually massive.
Yep.
He's going to be so reckless with his dives to set up the plays. You see D+, because they moved down towards Zeus, they lost control over this area near the banana brush. And Zeus is looking to threaten on this flank.
Yeah. T1 also, they're not even fully engaging, but Guma with shields can just walk up to people and just shoot them. That's going to be a cleanse, though. Early on here, Guma is taking a bit of damage as well. Not the cleanest amount of poke, and here comes Faker on the flank. All the way around, looking for Showmaker, who is pretty low. The Jhin ultimate going to be utilized. They try to clump up here, but that's Infernal Soul. And Lucid, he needs to get in. It's not going to happen. It just goes over to T1. As, okay, Infernal Soul now for the side of T1, and they want to take a fight.
Kingen has no Mega Bar. He has to try and stack it quickly, but they're all so low.
Oh, man. They're all up against the wall as well. The Tarm is going to miss. So does the Jhin root. Owner goes in first, but he is looking for that backline, aiming in a bit of trouble as the Renata ultimate does get some value. But, man, the low health bars are insane as the damage from T1 is out of control. Aiming finally gets taken out. It's a triple for Guma, and that might just do it as T1 are pushing the bottom lane.
We saw the Jhin just not able to do the damage in that game one, but Guma makes it work here. They corral D+ in, they cut them down, and they're able to get the win. The upset here, D+ have had such a fantastic season, will go down to T1 on their upswing towards playoffs.
That's T1, man. Sometimes they're just inevitable, and they play the better series tonight. As we got 5 seconds until Renata, it's not looking good for DK to have a chance to stop this push, and in fact, T1 will end the game right here, right now, right at the 30-minute mark. T1 take the series, as you said it, on their upswing towards playoffs. And Guma, what a fantastic Jhin game. Oh my lord.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like both Guma and Carrier really played it fantastic. Zeus as well, really strong performance here and in the last game. But I think Guma, just, it's a no-brainer. He popped off so hard on the Jhin, doing so much work. The value from the ult. We've seen Viper have a fantastic Jhin game, and Guma said, yeah, I'm the Jhin guy. I can do it too. And a big win for T1. You know, they've had a shaky season. There have been matches where we've been questioning them, but they've really showed some good form today. And with that, they will overtake No, they won't. I think they're behind in game score still. But they will match them in wins, which is pretty big. Coming for that third place spot, which will give them choice in terms of playoffs. And I think D+, I think they had a solid series. But I think those compositions, we've seen B&K Fear-X really make them work. The Vi, Ari, the follow-up being there. Where there's so many vulnerable like AD carry picks in the meta, things like the Ashe, we've seen a lot of AD carries mid. It just works so well at just getting on the backline and taking them out.
Man, Guma the only one that's going to give us the fancy celebration. Everybody else with just waves and thumbs up. T1, it was a trek to make it through this entire series. DK are no slouch. And they should at least be happy with this victory. They tie in the series score, and, they're on their way up towards playoffs. Will it just be T1 versus Gen G again? It's very early to call, but at least it's the first stepping stone in that direction.
It will absolutely be T1 versus Gen G later this week.
On Saturday. Saturday Showdown.
And I think, honestly, the hype for that series will go up as a result of this. D+, the team who have brought it closest to Gen G, T1 taking them down. Yes, it's a close series. Do I think this makes T1 favored against Gen G? Absolutely not.
Nobody is.
But I think it's an omen for T1 to challenge them and for us to get an impression of, can Gen G be beaten? Because that is the question on everyone's mind right now. Is there a team capable of taking them down? I think Honor Life Esports big in people's minds to do it, but they haven't been able to achieve it. D+ able to take a game. But T1, their old rivals, if they play like this, I think this is at least potential to get a game. But Gen G have just seemed insurmountable. But I think D+, they can't be too disappointed with today. It's obviously would have been great to get the win. But that track record against T1 we saw at the start of the day has obviously been rough. But overall, still putting in a good performance. And it just felt like when it came to the execution of some of these later setups, they weren't able to follow through. And T1's so good, especially I think Zeus. Really, the impact he made on things like the Jax. We've seen him so often on like these range top lane picks.
Yeah.
See him on like the Jax and Camille. So fantastic. And the impact he can make when it comes to those 5v5s, picks that typically you expect to do a lot in team fight, in split push scenarios. He's just like, no, I can just dive the backline. I'll make it work.
Yep. Still feels like T1 are pretty immaculate at using red side R5 counter pick. I mean, they did it last week with the Draven Soraka. We see it this week with the Camille to come out here to just really complete the composition.
I'm interested how much damage Carrier did, because he went the Zazak.
Yeah.
And he also, I swear his mantra Qs were doing a lot in some of those fights, so I'm a little bit interested. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, Guma's definitely going to lead the damage, we know that for sure.
Wait, you mean Carrier won't beat him in damage?
You know what? He won't. Carrier needs to try a bit harder. You need to stick him on center.
Yeah.
If you want to be top in the damage charts.
So they're just saying, we can end for sure 100%, calling out death timers. And it's very calm from the side of T1. Carrier just saying, yeah, shields. This is Guma Jin. This is Carrier Karma. Self-compliments from both of them, by the way. And it is Guma on top of the damage charts to the surprise of nobody, but 12K from Carrier.
It was substantial. There was a couple of fights where he's getting big mantra Qs, and it set up the Jin to start ulting. Obviously, lower health they are, the more you're doing. So I think the bot lane duo had a pretty fantastic one. It wasn't a winning lane. I expected it to be a lot more dominant in lane, but they found the impact in the team fights.
Just do the boom boom damage. That's all you need to do. Save that counter pick for T1. They looked great today. They deserve this win 100%, and we'll see what their future does look like against Gen G on Saturday. But we're done here for this series. Let's hand it over to the space to break it down.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Jisun for the POG interview translation, joined by the bottom duo on the side of T1 after taking down D+ Kia. Congratulations on your win, guys. Carrier, today's match was very crucial for staying competitive at the top of the LCK. How do you feel about the win today? I mean, DK, their form is great right now, and I think DK is one of the teams that we can actually practically compete for the top side in the LCK. So I was going all in for this matchup. I'm happy that we managed to add another win to a winning streak, so our momentum keeps going. and I'm happy that I also won a POG today. And Gumayusi, you gave a wink as a victory celebration at the end. What did it mean?
오늘 핀도 예쁘게 꽂았으니까.
You know, cute little bobby pin in my hair, so I just want to act cute. I was feeling it. Can you get a replay of it though? For the fans. There you go. And I heard you are actually growing out your hair. Would you like to kind of tie them all the way up, all the bangs up? I think that would be really cute. No preview, to be honest, no spoilers, but one day I will do that hair as well. Very much looking forward to it. Keria, with this victory, ever since 2022, T1 has a 14-1 match record up against D plus Kia. What are your thoughts on this much of an overwhelming match record? Well, I guess every time we get to play against D plus Kia, we got kind of luckier so that we managed to pull off some of the, you know, dicey plays as well. Keria, I want to know your thoughts about Kalista Renata bot duo. It depends on every different situation, you know. Depends on the matchup as well. And today, we thought Kalista Renata will be on top of the tier list up against D plus Kia. And Renata was a critical counter into the opponent's comp as well. Was that also intended during the drafting? So D plus Kia, because they are really good at playing around their AD jungle picks, so we decided to kind of counter that with our own comp. And I think our play was on point as well. What about you, Guma? How do you think that game 2 bottom lane go? Game 2, well, I think during the pick and ban, we thought we got a decent comp, and then our gameplay followed up amazingly as well. Now, let's take a look at this replay together. It was a little bit of a dicey situation for T1, but you guys managed to escape the scene and actually win out the team fight. Yeah, I also thought this could be a GG for us, and then we got lucky somehow, and we all survived, and we were like, how did he all live? You know? And after that play, T1 managed to solidify the win in the end. And then, game 3, you guys managed to kind of take away the key peaks on the opponents, for example, like Vi and also Renata in game 2 as well. Was that all calculated? So we were expecting a similar kind of matchup to happen in game 2 and 3, and I was pretty confident in the matchup, you know, especially playing Vi into Renata, so we knew how the game will turn out. So there was not a big problem dealing with the opponent's comp. And I think today, Gumayusi on Jhin, you managed to kind of display everything that a Jhin can do. You know, you stole objectives, you managed to get so many kills, do so much damage. So I was pretty much going full on. And there are two types of Jhins, you know. Sometimes you go full on the AD damage. Sometimes you also go for the rapid fire cannon in order to help out your team as well. So the first game I played Jhin, I wanted to focus on the damage output, and then game 2 I went for the rapid fire cannon in order to play frontline and, you know, play for the team. Now here's a replay of it. Hingen actually managed to find a really good angle here, but your Jhin managed to turn the fight around as well. I was pretty proud, first off, dodging the Narf ult with my flash, and then after that, I knew what kind of spells opponents have used and everything, so I was calculating everything to play out that fight. I want to know your thoughts on Jhin as well, because it's a little bit controversial. Do you think a Jhin can carry a game? I mean, even today, game 1 and game 3 Jhin will receive a different kind of critic or evaluation. But for me personally, I had several games where Jhin carried a game, so I would say Jhin can carry a game. And recently, with many strong AD carry champions emerging, well, we saw a lot of ADC being supportive in terms of the role, you know, for example, like Jhin or Misfortune. How do you feel about this meta? I think it opens up more variety for the AD carry champion pool, so I'm having a lot of fun because I get to play more champions. Don't you think your role is a little bit stolen by a different, lane? I mean, it happened a long time ago.
아, 원딜 단합대회가 또 생각이 납니다. 캐리아 선수 다음
And
경기는
Carrier,
이제 젠지와의
T1's next match is the Saturday Showdown up against Gen G. How are we gonna prepare for it? Gen G, they're doing great at the moment. And it's August, which means playoffs is just around the corner, so you have to, lock in for everything. So if we get a win up against them, why is everyone laughing? I don't know. But anyways, if we get to get a win next time, I think it will be a great kind of a momentum boost for the T1. I also think Gen G is amazing. They are doing great. They're undefeated so far, so we're gonna leave a dent or maybe a wound on that Tigers. Once again, congratulations on the win, and this will be the end of the interview with Guma Carrier, and back to the space. Thank you.